Chapter 977. Cough, cough. What? How? So fast. Cough, cough. Emperor Tianyuan's health wasn't looking good, so he kept coughing. But judging from Emperor Tianyuan's tone, it was obvious that Emperor Tianyuan was shocked that Yi Hao could take back Tianyuan Imperial City so quickly. That was because he even had the intention to die outside. But in just a short span of 10 days, Yi Hao had actually taken back Tianyuan Imperial City. This was completely beyond his expectations. Cough, cough. That evil creature. Cough, cough. How is she? Cough, cough. Emperor Tianyuan asked as he coughed. The evil creature Emperor Tianyuan was referring to was naturally the eldest princess. Although Emperor Tianyuan was disappointed in the eldest princess, he still cared for her. When the eldest princess heard that my army had wiped out her 5 million soldiers, she fled without a fight and voluntarily gave up the imperial palace. I'm sending people after her now. Yi Hao answered Emperor Tianyuan without hiding anything. To be able to make that evil creature, cough, cough, voluntarily give up the imperial palace. Cough, cough. This is enough to prove your strength. Emperor Tianyuan looked at Yi Hao with deep approval in his eyes. Cough, cough. Then let's, cough, cough, return to Tianyuan Imperial City. I hope, cough, cough, I can see you ascend the throne before I die. Emperor Tianyuan might be in a very weak state, but his eyes were filled with anticipation. After all, Yi Hao's strength and the strength he had displayed made him think more highly of Yi Hao. This made him even more satisfied with Yi Hao. All right then, let's return to the palace. His Majesty is returning to the palace. The third prince consort is returning to the palace. His Majesty is returning to the palace. The third prince consort is returning to the palace. On the streets of Tianyuan Imperial City, groups of guards were calling out loudly. Although Yi Hao and Emperor Tianyuan hadn't entered the Imperial City, countless citizens were already kneeling on the ground. There was a trace of confusion on everyone's faces, because they didn't understand. Wasn't the Emperor supreme? They could understand calling for His Majesty to rise and return to the palace, but at the same time calling for His Majesty, he also called third prince consort, which made him a little puzzled. Didn't this mean that the third prince consort was on the same level as Emperor Tianyuan? What do you guys think is going on? Some people who didn't understand directly asked the people around them. You don't know. His Majesty's return to the court this time is a triumphant one. Not only did he destroy Duan Kingdom, but he also eradicated the rebellious eldest princess. A citizen who had heard of the news couldn't help but speak up. Your Majesty is so mighty. Hearing this person's words, countless people couldn't help but feel admiration for Emperor Tianyuan. That's strange. These merits are not done by His Majesty. The citizen immediately shook his head. If it wasn't done by His Majesty, then who was it? The crowd was even more puzzled. Why don't you think about it? Is His Majesty really that mighty? Could he have let Duan Kingdom bully our Tianyuan Kingdom? Could he have let our territory be divided again and again? Could he have let the eldest and second princesses rebel? The citizen couldn't help but ask. Yes, what you said makes sense. Then how did we destroy Duan Kingdom? Could it be that we had the help of an expert? You guessed it right. We did have the help of an expert. Tianyuan Kingdom was able to rise from the dead, defeat Duan Kingdom, and eradicate the rebellious army all because of one person. Do you know who this person is? The disciple nodded, and at the same time, he seemed to be keeping the crowd in suspense. Who is it? Who is it? Say it. Don't keep us in suspense. You're making me anxious. Who is this expert? Seeing that this person was keeping them in suspense, countless people became anxious and asked curiously. This person is the third prince consort, Yi Hao. Tell me, is the third prince consort worthy of being on the same level as His Majesty? Seeing the anxious faces of the crowd, the citizen immediately said, I see. I was wondering why Tianyuan Kingdom suddenly became so strong. So, it has something to do with the third prince consort. If the third prince consort is really so powerful, then it doesn't matter if he's on the same level as His Majesty. The third prince consort appearance is really the savior of Tianyuan Kingdom. Everyone revealed a look of sudden realization. None of them had any complaints about Yi Hao being on the same level as Emperor Tianyuan. Quiet, quiet. His Majesty and the third prince consort are entering the city. At this moment, a large number of soldiers suddenly surged into Tianyuan royal city. Do you see that? That's the third prince consort, Yi Hao. Many people cast their gazes towards Yi Hao, who was like a moon surrounded by stars. At this moment, although Yi Hao wasn't riding any horse, he strode into the royal city. Countless soldiers stood guard in front of Yi Hao. Yi Hao was dressed in a white robe, and he looked very dignified. Naturally, he attracted countless people. Behind Yi Hao was a dazzling golden dragon carriage. Naturally, Emperor Tianyuan was sitting on it. At this moment, there wasn't any movement on the dragon carriage. Emperor Tianyuan was sitting on it. This made things difficult for Emperor Tianyuan. Originally, Yi Hao wanted to let Emperor Tianyuan return to the palace in secret. After all, his body couldn't take the torture. However, Emperor Tianyuan wanted to encourage the people, so he had to let them see him. After all, the emperor had personally led the army. Now that he was returning in triumph, it was time to reassure the people. If the people couldn't see the emperor, they would definitely make wild guesses. Hearing Emperor Tianyuan's words, Yi Hao planned to find a substitute. After all, the person sitting in the dragon carriage would be covered by something. There was no way to tell who was sitting in the dragon carriage. This was because no one was bold enough to look directly at the dragon carriage. However, Emperor Tianyuan insisted on sitting in the dragon carriage. Yi Hao couldn't dissuade him, so he could only do as he wished. In other words, although Emperor Tianyuan was sitting in the dragon carriage as steadily as Mount Tai, he was actually lying. Emperor Tianyuan was just putting on an act, forcing himself to be like this. It could also be seen how much Emperor Tianyuan cared about his people. No matter how weak his body was, he had to force himself to be like this. Greetings, Your Majesty. Long live Your Majesty. Greetings, Your Highness, the third prince consort. Long live Your Highness. Greetings, Your Majesty. Long live Your Majesty. Greetings, Your Highness, the third prince consort. Long live Your Highness. Greetings, Your Majesty. Long live Your Majesty. Greetings, Your Highness, the third prince consort. Long live Your Highness. When they saw Yi Hao and Emperor Tianyuan enter the city, the people kneeling on the ground all shouted loudly to show their respect. Stop! Who knew that at this moment, Emperor Tianyuan's loud voice would suddenly come from the dragon carriage? Chapter 978. At this moment, everyone was looking at the dragon chariot, waiting for Emperor Tianyuan to speak. Today I announce that the abdication ceremony and coronation ceremony will be held with the third prince consort, Yi Hao, in 3 days. Emperor Tianyuan said with great vigor. If they didn't know that Emperor Tianyuan was in bad health, they might have been fooled and thought that the Emperor Tianyuan was fine. But Yi Hao knew that Emperor Tianyuan was putting up a strong front. Yi Hao looked at the dragon chariot with a hint of worry in his eyes. Yi Hao was afraid that Emperor Tianyuan's strong front would cause the Emperor Tianyuan's condition to worsen. Emperor Tianyuan's words were like a bomb that exploded in the crowd. Everyone looked at each other. After all, this was an abdication of the throne, and it was given to an outsider. In an instant, everyone present started to talk about it. Abdication? Why would His Majesty suddenly abdicate? Could His Majesty have been coerced? Otherwise, how could His Majesty make such a decision? I now suspect that His Majesty must have been coerced by Yi Hao. I suspect that the person on the dragon chariot wasn't His Majesty at all. That's right. Otherwise, how could His Majesty have made such a decision? Many people's voices were filled with suspicion. They looked at the dragon chariot and Yi Hao with suspicion. My lord, this. When Song Xiaotian heard that everyone was suspecting that Yi Hao had coerced Emperor Tianyuan, he was instantly enraged and looked furious. Yi Hao waved his hand and motioned for Song Xiaotian to keep quiet. The reason for that was because Yi Hao had already anticipated that this would happen. After all, abdication was not a small matter. Everyone knew that the throne was a good thing, so very few emperors were willing to abdicate. There were many countries in the ancient demons, but only a handful of them had abdicated. Therefore, it was not unreasonable for everyone to be so suspicious. Impudent. I am the sovereign of the 9 and 5. How can anyone threaten me? You dare to doubt my identity? Just as the crowd was discussing the matter, the dragon carriage was suddenly opened. Emperor Tinyuan's tiger-like eyes swept across the crowd, bringing about a formless sense of oppression. His body carried a boundless might. Although Emperor Tianyuan couldn't cultivate, he didn't have the slightest bit of cultivation. However, the aura of a superior that he had accumulated over time was still very strong. Hearing Emperor Tianyuan's angry roar and the imposing manner emanating from Emperor Tianyuan, everyone immediately cheered loudly, no longer daring to doubt Emperor Tianyuan. While everyone was cheering, Yihao's brows furrowed even tighter. This was because Emperor Tianyuan's body was already at the end of its life. Now that he was angry and emitting his power, he was undoubtedly consuming his own life force. To be honest, Yihao was extremely moved and was full of admiration for Emperor Tianyuan. He knew that the reason the Emperor of Sky Yuan was willing to risk his life was so that he could ascend the throne. The reason Emperor Tianyuan wanted him to ascend to the throne was entirely for the sake of the people of Tianyuan Kingdom. Yihao had to admit that if Emperor Tianyuan had enough power and didn't suffer the loss of his power and the loss of his son, Emperor Tianyuan would definitely be a good emperor. Read out my imperial edict, Emperor Tianyuan said, and immediately lowered the curtain of the dragon carriage. Oh no! Seeing Emperor Tianyuan lowering the curtain of the dragon carriage, Yihao's heart suddenly tightened. He knew that this was bad, and the worry in his heart grew stronger. This was because he clearly saw that the moment Emperor Tianyuan lowered the curtain of the dragon carriage, a trace of blood appeared at the corner of Emperor Tianyuan's mouth. Yihao wanted to go forward, but he knew that if he did, he would definitely disrupt Emperor Tianyuan's plan and ruin everything that Emperor Tianyuan had done before. Yihao could only suppress the worry in his heart and stay where he was. At this moment, a eunuch appeared in front of the dragon carriage, as if he had been prepared for this. The eunuch held the imperial edict in his hands and scanned the crowd. He shouted at the top of his voice, "His Majesty has issued an imperial edict. Kneel down and receive it." Clatter. Countless soldiers all knelt down on one knee at this moment, waiting for the imperial edict to be read. The citizens of the Heaven Yuan Kingdom all knelt on the ground at the same time. Yihao, on the other hand, bowed slightly to show the respect in his heart. I am not a qualified emperor, causing Tianyuan Kingdom to be repeatedly bullied by Duan Kingdom. At the same time, I am not a qualified father. I did not protect the crown prince well and did not educate the princesses well. The first and second princesses actually started a rebellion and brought disaster to the country. It was because of me that Tianyuan Kingdom was in chaos. Therefore, I know that I am not suitable for the throne. However, I have no successor. Fortunately, the heavens have tempered me and sent the third prince consort Yihao to our Tianyuan Kingdom. The third prince consort Yihao led the army and swept through Duan Kingdom in just a few days. He killed Emperor Duan and integrated Duan Kingdom into Tianyuan Kingdom's territory. He brought glory to our Tianyuan Kingdom. The third prince consort Yihao led the army to quell the rebellion. In just a few days, he wiped out 4 million rebels and made the first princess flee without a fight. All signs indicate that the third prince consort Yihao is more suitable for the throne than I am. Therefore, I have decided that the most capable person will ascend the throne and abdicate the throne with the third prince consort Yihao. Hearing the imperial edict announced by the eunuch, everyone looked at Yihao with admiration. After all, in the ancient demon domain, the strong were respected. Yihao was able to wipe out Duan Kingdom, which had always been bullying Tianyuan Kingdom, in such a short time. This was enough to prove Yihao's strength. This also made countless people believe in Yihao. According to Emperor Tianyuan, the contents of the imperial edict were enough to prove that Yihao could lead Tianyuan Kingdom to greatness. After all, as a citizen who didn't want their country to become powerful and prosperous, Following the eunuch's announcement, countless people cheered loudly again. Long live the emperor! 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 Let's return to the palace. At this moment, Emperor Tinyuan's voice no longer sounded from the dragon carriage. Yi Hao knew that the situation wasn't good, so he immediately signaled to the eunuch with his eyes. After receiving Yi Hao's signal, the eunuch immediately understood and shouted at the top of his lungs. Following the eunuch's voice, all the soldiers immediately stood up and followed the dragon carriage to Tianyuan Palace. We respectfully send your majesty off. Long live your majesty. Quick, send his majesty to his chambers. As soon as they entered the palace, Yi Hao hurriedly pulled open the curtains of the dragon carriage. Yi Hao discovered that Emperor Tianyuan had already fainted. There was blood at the corner of his mouth, and his dragon robe was dyed red with blood. Chapter 979. Yi Hao looked at Emperor Tianyuan, who was lying on the dragon bed. His face was pale, and the situation was very bad. Go and capture all the alchemists in Tianyuan Royal City. Yi Hao immediately ordered Song Xiaotian. This isn't very good, Song Xiaotian said worriedly when he heard Yi Hao's order. The royal family of Tianyuan Kingdom already had alchemists who usually treated the royal family and refined pills. Moreover, alchemists were very precious. Therefore, when the first princess left, she took all the alchemists away by force. However, there were still some alchemists that the first princess did not take away. At the same time, she did not dare to take them away. Those alchemists were from the various sections. These alchemists were from the various sections. Therefore, no one dared to provoke them because of the sects behind them. Even the first princess was no exception. Now, Yi Hao wanted to capture these alchemists by force. If he was not careful, he would definitely offend the sects behind these alchemists. Therefore, Song Xiaotian could not help but look at Yi Hao worriedly. Are you going to disobey my orders? Yi Hao's voice deepened as he stared at Song Xiaotian. I wouldn't dare. Song Xiaotian's heart skipped a beat. He quickly said, What if these alchemists are unwilling to come? What should we do? Those who do not come will be killed without mercy. Yi Hao's voice deepened as a murderous aura emanated from him. Yes. Song Xiaotian did not dare to say anything when he saw the murderous aura emanating from Yi Hao. He immediately led Yi Hao out of the hall. Who do you think you are? Do you think the royal family of Tianyuan is so great? Do you know which sect I'm from? Are you really that daring? Aren't you afraid that the sect behind me will come after you? I advise you to let us go if you know what's good for you. Otherwise, the consequences will be severe. In a large hall of the Tianyuan Imperial Palace, 12 people were standing. Their voices were noisy, and all of them looked angry and dissatisfied. Third Prince Consort Dao, Yi Hao walked in with a shout. You are the third Prince Consort of the Tianyuan Kingdom? Who do you think you are? How dare you capture us? I advise you to release us quickly. We are not people that a mere Prince Consort like you can afford to offend. A middle-aged man with a puffed-up nose looked at Yi Hao with disdain. It was not without reason that the middle-aged man looked down on Yi Hao. Because with his status, not to mention a Prince Consort, even Emperor Tianyuan had to be respectful and courteous when he saw him. Which sect are you from? Yi Hao looked at the middle-aged man and asked. Pil Sect Qin. When the middle-aged man mentioned his sect, there was some pride on his face. That was because his sect's influence spanned across several large kingdoms. Among the numerous alchemists present, his alchemy grandmaster Qin could be considered to be one of the best. Then what level of alchemist are you? Yi Hao didn't get angry and continued to ask the middle-aged man. Humph! The middle-aged man snorted coldly with a smug smile on his face. However, he still pretended to say his level. Demon Emperor Alchemist. Upon hearing the middle-aged man's words, many of the alchemists present revealed looks of admiration. In the eyes of martialists, the strong were respected. In the eyes of alchemists, it was still the same. The higher the level of alchemy and the better the pills refined, the more people would worship and admire them. Obviously, the middle-aged man's alchemist level was already considered pretty good in the eyes of the crowd. This was because a demon emperor alchemist could already refine demon emperor alchemist pills. One had to know that demon emperor alchemist pills could only be consumed by demon emperor elites and would be effective on them. Although the Tianyuan kingdom's royal family had their own alchemists, their alchemists were only at the demon emperor alchemist level. A demon emperor alchemist could only refine demon emperor alchemist pills. It wasn't impossible to refine demon emperor alchemist pills, but the success rate was pitifully low. Therefore, it could be seen that the middle-aged man's alchemy level was already considered pretty good. Then how about I ask you to refine pills for me? Although Yi Hao didn't think highly of a demon emperor alchemist, it was obvious that he couldn't find a better alchemist. Therefore, he could only force himself to use him for the time being. Is there something wrong with your brain? You captured me, and you still want me to help you refine pills? I advise you to let me go quickly, lest you invite trouble to yourself. The middle-aged man looked at Yi Hao with disdain, as if he was looking at an idiot. The rest of the alchemists sneered coldly. If you can't refine the pills today, I don't think any of you can leave. Yi Hao's gaze swept across everyone. Clang, clang, clang. As Yi Hao's voice fell, a large number of guards rushed out. Each of them pulled out their weapons and stared at the alchemists as if they were wild beasts staring at their prey. It was as if as long as Yi Hao gave the order, the guards would immediately attack and execute the alchemists on the spot. What do you mean by this? Do you dare to kill us? The middle-aged man frowned. When the rest of the alchemists saw this scene, fear and wariness appeared in their eyes. You can try. Yi Hao's body was filled with murderous intent at this moment. Kill me if you can. Even if you kill me, I won't refine pills. The middle-aged man's attitude was unusually tough at this moment. Kill him. Yi Hao didn't waste any time and waved his hand directly. What? You? Hearing Yi Hao's words, the middle-aged man was shocked. He had originally thought that Yi Hao was just threatening him and wouldn't really dare to kill him. That was why he dared to say that even if Yi Hao killed him, he wouldn't refine pills. This was all to show off in front of the alchemists so that they would worship him even more. However, he hadn't reached the stage where he would give up his life just to show off. Therefore, when he heard Yi Hao's words and saw the guards walking towards him, he suddenly panicked. You have to think clearly. Alchemy Grandmaster Qin is not someone that the Tianyuan kingdom can deal with alone. If you dare to kill me, the Tianyuan kingdom will be destroyed. You. The middle-aged man kept talking, tried to threaten Yi Hao and make Yi Hao take back his order. However, Yi Hao didn't seem to hear him. The guards continued to close in on him. The middle-aged man was frightened when he saw the guards' murderous look and the sharp blades that were emitting cold light. The rest of the alchemists also took a few steps back in fear. They watched this scene carefully and nervously. Chapter 980. Stop. Yi Hao seemed to have expected this when he heard the middle-aged man's words. If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have wasted so much effort. When the guards heard Yi Hao's order, they put away their weapons and retreated to the side, looking at the middle-aged man with disdain. The middle-aged man, on the other hand, had an awkward look on his face. After all, this was too shameful. It was as if he had lost all his face. However, the middle-aged man had a helpless look on his face. After all, compared to his own life was more important. The rest of the alchemists also looked at the middle-aged man with disdain. However, they did not say anything. I want you to help me refine the 3 Revolutions Life Pill. Yi Hao said directly. The 3 Revolutions Life Pill. What kind of pill is that? Why haven't I heard of it before? All the alchemists looked at each other when they heard Yi Hao's words. Obviously, they had never heard of it before. The 3 Revolutions Life Pill. There were even quite a few people who looked at Yi Hao suspiciously. They wondered if Yi Hao had randomly made up the name of the pill to play with them. Didn't the 3 Revolutions Life Quintessence pill disappear for thousands of years? Could it be that you have it? The middle-aged man suddenly spoke while everyone was confused. The middle-aged man was shocked. At the same time, he looked at Yi Hao suspiciously. When it came to alchemists, sometimes a pill formula was more important than their own lives, or even more important than their own lives. Some alchemists were even willing to give up everything they had, even their lives, for a pill formula. These were people who were crazy about alchemy. Therefore, every alchemist didn't mind knowing more pill formulas. Although the middle-aged man liked to show off, his attainments in alchemy had been extraordinary since he was young. Therefore, the middle-aged man was also very obsessed with alchemy. Usually, he liked to study the art of alchemy or read some alchemy books. Naturally, there were some pill formulas that had reappeared or been lost for a long time in these books. As for the triple cycle life core that Yi Hao mentioned, the middle-aged man had read about it in an ancient book. The 3 revolutions life quintessence pills were divided into the Devil Emperor level pills, and his main function was the healing effect, which was several times that of ordinary Devil Emperor level medicinal pills. Sometimes, it could even extend one's life. The middle-aged man clearly hadn't expected to hear the name of the 3 revolutions life quintessence pill from Yi Hao. Could it be that Pill Master Son has heard of the 3 revolutions life profound pill? Alchemist Son, quickly tell us what kind of pill the 3 revolutions fate pill is. Why haven't we heard of it? Seeing Alchemist Son's shocked expression, all the alchemists looked at Alchemist Son curiously. Cough, cough. Seeing the curious looks on everyone's faces, Apothecary Son couldn't help but cough a few times. He knew that it was time for him to redeem his reputation. This 3 revolutions life pill is a Demon Emperor level pill. Its main effect is to heal injuries and extend one's life. It's stronger than ordinary Demon Emperor level healing pills. However, this pill formula has been missing for too long. I only heard about the existence of the 3 revolutions life quintessence pill by chance. After Apothecary Son finished speaking, he looked at Yi Hao suspiciously. I just don't know if his 3 revolutions life quintessence pill formula is real or fake. Apothecary Son's suspicions weren't unreasonable. After all, the pill formula for the 3 revolutions life quintessence pill had been missing for so long. It was completely normal for Yi Hao to have obtained a fake pill formula. After all, fake pill formulas have been appearing for so long in the ancient demon domain. However, how could Yi Hao's pill formula be fake? One had to know that Yi Hao's pill formula was obtained from the Array Elixir Divine sect. The Array Elixir Divine sect used to be the #1 sect in the world. The Array Elixir Divine sect specialized in array, Dao, and alchemy. Therefore, how could the Array Elixir Divine sect have a fake pill formula? Among the countless pill formulas, the 3 revolutions life quintessence pill formula wasn't worth mentioning. However, it could crush many pills of the same level. Of course, Yi Hao could also take out a pill formula of a higher level. However, given the level of the alchemist present, it would be useless to take it out. This was because, given the level of these alchemists, it was impossible for them to refine a pill of a higher level than the Demon Emperor level. Men, take out the pill formula. Following Yi Hao's order, a guard immediately handed the pill formula to Apothecary Son and the others. Everyone frowned when they saw the pill formula in the guard's hand. Was this just written? Apothecary Son asked with a frown. The ink on the pill formula hadn't completely dried yet. Yi Hao nodded, but didn't say anything. This was because the pill formulas of the Array Elixir Divine sect weren't kept separately. They were all stored together. Yi Hao naturally wouldn't be so foolish as to take out so many pill formulas at once. Although the pill formulas were of a low level, the appearance of so many long-lost pill formulas would definitely make all the alchemists in the world go crazy. Therefore, in his anxiousness, Yi Hao had made a new copy of the pill recipe before these alchemists arrived. Seeing Yi Hao nod, the alchemists didn't think too much about it. They all looked at the pill formula. After all, it was possible that it was a long-lost pill formula. Naturally, they were very curious. This is the bone-shattering grass. Are you kidding? Apothecary Son laughed when he saw the first ingredient on the pill formula. Although the others didn't say anything, they all had strange expressions on their faces. Strictly speaking, the bone-shattering grass was a poisonous grass. It was usually used to refine poison. As its name implied, the The bone-shattering grass could destroy a cultivator's bones. Now that it had appeared in a healing pill formula, everyone couldn't help but be suspicious. How dare you say that this is the 3 Revolutions life pill? What a joke. I don't even need to look at this pill formula. Apothecary's son sneered and threw the pill formula out. However, it was grabbed by an old man. Bone-shattering grass and bone-regenerating grass. It's the same as having a broken body. This pill recipe is too crazy, but it's indeed too wonderful for words. The old man said excitedly. After all, when others didn't understand that genius alchemist, he would be seen as a lunatic. Elder who? Do you mean that this pill formula is real? Seeing the old man's excited expression, the other alchemists couldn't help but look at Elder who. It's more than 90% true. Elder who nodded. Elder who was also an alchemist at the Demon Emperor level. His reputation and alchemy skills weren't inferior to Apothecary's sons. Therefore, when Elder who said this, many people naturally believed him. Apothecary's son frowned when he heard Elder who's words. Obviously, he didn't see the bone-generating grass in the pill formula. If that was the case, wouldn't he be slapped in the face again? Chapter 981. But what if you add in the tendon-healing spirit grass and blood-bathing spirit grass? Elder who asked with a smile. This? Hearing Elder who's words, Alchemist's son snatched the pill formula in shock. The more he looked at it, the more shocked he was. Amazing. Amazing. It's truly amazing. Even though Apothecary's son was unwilling to do so, he couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. That was because this pill recipe was simply too crazy. It had completely broken his fixed line of thought. He didn't dare to imagine how this pill formula could make use of the medicinal effects of other spirit herbs to strengthen the destructive power of the bone-shattering grass. That was because ordinary medicinal pills would not take such a huge risk to do such a thing. He had never come into contact with such a pill before. That was why he had such a reaction when he saw the bone-shattering grass. He thought that the pill formula was fake. However, after looking at the entire pill formula and all the spirit herbs, he also thought that the pill formula was real, just like Elder who. Although the pill formula is real, it's obviously not easy to gather so many spirit herbs. Alchemist's son said. Elder who nodded. There are many spirit herbs here. None of us can take them out. Although the pill formula is real, we can't make it without the spirit herbs. Alchemist's son finally found an excuse and said to Yi Hao. After all, in his opinion, Yi Hao couldn't force them to make pills without the spirit herbs. Because without the spirit herbs, even if they were killed, they couldn't take them out. I've already prepared the spirit herbs for you. Unexpectedly, Yi Hao's voice sounded as soon as Alchemist's son finished speaking. Yi Hao waved his hand, and more than 10 spirit herbs appeared neatly in front of everyone. What a joke. He had obtained so many spirit herbs in the buried king's secret realm. How could he not take out these few spirit herbs? Seeing Yi Hao take out so many spirit herbs, and there were more than a dozen of them, Apothecary's son immediately compared the spirit herbs and realized that there wasn't a single one missing. He exclaimed in shock, "How is this possible? All right, there's no problem. You can start making pills. If anyone dares to waste my spirit herbs on purpose, don't blame me for being impolite." Yi Hao threatened in a deep voice. His gaze lingered on Alchemist's son for a while. Alchemist's son panicked when he saw Yi Hao's gaze. Obviously, Yi Hao saw through his thoughts. He didn't want to do so, but now that Yi Hao threatened him, he didn't dare to do so. Seeing this, the other alchemists no longer hesitated. They each took a portion of the spirit herbs, found a good place, and took out their cauldrons. One by one, they began to circulate their martial power and convert it into furnace fire to refine the pills. Yi Hao then realized that none of these alchemists had strange flames. It was obvious that it would not be easy to subdue a strange flame. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for watching Pill Refinement. Pill Refinement experience increased by 1,000. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for watching Pill Refinement. Pill refinement experience increased by 1,000. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for watching Pill refinement. Pill refinement experience increased by 1,000. Yihao's gaze swept over all the alchemists. He watched as they continuously formed alchemy hand seals and refined spirit herbs. The EXP notifications kept ringing in his head. Yihao realized that among all the alchemists present, Alchemist's son and elder whose refining speed was the fastest. As for the other alchemists, they were more cautious and their speed of refining pills was much slower. It was obvious that it wasn't easy to successfully refine a Demon Emperor level pill. After a full 2 hours, he was only halfway through the pill refinement process. However, Yihao didn't feel tired at all. He just focused on watching. One had to know that the closer one was to the end, the more difficult it would be. Because the closer one was to the end, if one wasn't careful, all their previous efforts would be wasted. Therefore, the experience that Yihao gained from watching now wasn't less than before. Instead, it increased by a lot. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for watching Pill Refinement. Pill Refinement experience increased by 3,000. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for watching Pill Refinement. Pill refinement experience increased by 3,000. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for watching Pill Refinement. Pill refinement experience increased by 3,000. At this moment, Yihao's pill refinement level had also increased greatly. He had directly reached the Demon Emperor level alchemist. If the alchemists present were to find out that Yihao's experience points increased just by watching them refine pills, they would probably vomit blood from anger. Time passed by minute. The pill refinement had also reached a critical moment. All the alchemists had a solemn expression. Many of them even had dense beads of sweat on their foreheads. Alchemist's son and elder whose skills were slightly better, and they were much faster than the rest. However, Alchemist's son and elder who also began to slow down their refining speed. To be honest, Yihao was also very nervous at this moment. He was sweating profusely for everyone in his heart. After all, he had asked these alchemists to refine these pills for the sake of Emperor Tianyuan. And Emperor Tianyuan's current condition was obviously not optimistic. Therefore, time was equivalent to Emperor Tianyuan's life now. Naturally, he hoped that these alchemists could successfully refine the 3 revolutions life pill in one try. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for watching Pill Refinement. Pill refinement experience increased by 4,000. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for watching Pill Refinement. Pill refinement experience increased by 4,000. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for watching Pill Refinement. Pill refinement experience increased by 4,000. Bang! Suddenly, there was an explosion. A middle-aged alchemist looked at Yihao with an ugly expression. Obviously, he didn't control the pill refinement well, and the furnace exploded. Yihao waved his hand and didn't blame the alchemist. This was because this alchemist was only a demon supremacy alchemist. Obviously, it was very difficult for him to refine a demon emperor alchemist. However, the explosion of this alchemist furnace had obviously brought a lot of pressure to the rest of the alchemists. The rest of the alchemists all had grave expressions on their faces. The beads of sweat on their faces became even denser. Even Alchemist's son and elder whose refining speed had become even slower at this moment. Time passed by minute. At this moment, Yihao's fists were already clenched together. Bang! Suddenly, the sound of a pill furnace exploding rang out again. One of the alchemists looked at Yihao with a pale face. However, Yihao didn't have the leisure to care about him. Instead, he kept looking at Elder who and Alchemist's son's furnaces. Chapter 982. Alchemy Master Son was extremely unwilling to help Yihao refine the pill. However, he was filled with fear towards Yihao. Alchemy Master Son couldn't help but sneak a glance at Yihao. However, he met Yihao's cold gaze, which made his heart tremble violently. He could see a hint of murderous intent in Yihao's eyes. He had no doubt that Yihao would definitely kill him if he failed to refine the 3 revolutions life pill. Thinking of this, Alchemy Master's son immediately broke out in a cold sweat. He had no choice but to put away his thoughts and focus on refining the pill. Pill up. After a while, Elder Who suddenly shouted. Then, Elder Who opened his cauldron, and the fire in the cauldron was extinguished instantly. A strong medicinal fragrance immediately filled the entire hall. Phew! Elder Who exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and wiped off his cold sweat. A smile also appeared on his face. I'm fortunate to have completed the task. Elder Who took out the pill from the cauldron and handed it to Yi Hao. Thank you, Yi Hao said gratefully when he saw the pill that Elder Who handed over. Elder Who was obviously stunned when he heard Yi Hao's gratitude because he obviously didn't expect Yi Hao to thank him. Yi Hao took the pill and turned his attention back to the other alchemists. Cough, cough. Elder Who coughed awkwardly when he saw that Yi Hao no longer paid attention to him. After all, with his status, even the Emperor Tianyuan had to be respectful when he saw him. However, Yi Hao was just the Emperor's son-in-law, but he actually ignored him. Elder Who stood there awkwardly. He didn't know whether to leave or stay. In the end, he could only stand there awkwardly. This was because he wasn't sure if Yi Hao would do anything out of line if he wanted to leave. Therefore, for his own safety, he decided to stay here for the time being. Meanwhile, the other alchemists were greatly encouraged when they saw that Elder Who had successfully refined the pill. Not too long later, Apothecary's son's displeased voice sounded. The pill has been successfully refined. Alchemist's son harumphed coldly as he tossed the pill to Yi Hao. As for Yi Hao, he simply took the pills and didn't pay any attention to Alchemist Sunday. When Alchemist's son saw that Yi Hao had accepted his pill and was actually ignoring him, he immediately felt as if his lungs were about to explode. Yi Hao's cold gaze once again landed on Alchemist Sunday. Although Apothecary's son's pill concoction skills weren't bad, and he had helped him successfully concoct pills, Yi Hao still wouldn't spoil him. Seeing Yi Hao's cold gaze, Apothecary's son didn't dare to look straight at him. He could only harumph coldly before turning his head to the side. Ding dong, congratulations to host for watching Alchemy. Alchemy experience increased by 4,000. Ding dong, congratulations to host for watching Alchemy. Alchemy experience increased by 4,000. Ding dong, congratulations to host for watching Alchemy. Alchemy experience increased by 4,000. Yi Hao turned his gaze back to the rest of the alchemists. The system notifications kept ringing in his mind. The remaining alchemists had obviously reached the final stage of their pill concoction. Although the remaining alchemist levels weren't as high as Elder Who's and Apothecary's sons, there were still 4 or 5 alchemists who succeeded in their pill concoction. In the end, only 7 of the dozen alchemists succeeded in their pill concoction. Those alchemists who failed in their pill concoction all had ugly expressions on their faces. They were afraid that Yi Hao would blame them. However, Yi Hao was already very satisfied that 7 out of the dozen alchemists succeeded in their pill concoction. Yi Hao waved his hand, and more than 10 types of spiritual herbs suddenly appeared on the ground. This is the dragon songgrass. It's worth millions of 0 coins. This is the tiger heart stem. It's also worth a lot. This is the pleasant breeze grass. When the crowd saw the spiritual herbs that appeared on the ground, they couldn't help but exclaim. Although they were all shocked, they still felt their hearts ache. One had to know that these were all expensive spiritual herbs. Some of them were even priceless. In their eyes, these were all treasures that were precious treasures. However, Yi Hao threw them on the ground so casually. How could they not feel their hearts ache? If it weren't for the fact that they were afraid of Yi Hao's strength, they would have beaten Yi Hao to death when they saw Yi Hao wasting such precious spiritual herbs. If it weren't for Yi Hao's presence, they would have long fought each other over the herbs. Even Elder Who was experienced and knowledgeable as an alchemist of the Demon Emperor, was moved when he saw so many precious spiritual herbs. Elder Who couldn't help but take a few more glances at Yi Hao. He was also very curious. Who exactly was Yi Hao? How could he have so many precious spiritual herbs? Furthermore, in addition to these precious spiritual herbs, Yi Hao was actually able to take out the lost pill recipe. Elder Who couldn't help but feel that Yi Hao was full of mysteries. Thank you, everyone, for helping me to refine pills. These spiritual herbs are my reward. Each of you can choose one, Yi Hao said as he looked at everyone. After all, these were two different things. Since everyone had helped him, he couldn't repay their kindness with ingratitude. He still had to thank them. Yi Hao didn't want to owe these people a favor, and he just wanted these alchemists to help him to refine a pill. And if these alchemists could get these spiritual herbs as their reward, they would definitely make a profit. What? These spiritual herbs are for us? Is this for real? Hearing Yi Hao's words, everyone's eyes lit up as they looked at the spiritual herbs on the ground. Their tone was full of surprise. Obviously, they didn't believe that Yi Hao would give these spiritual herbs to them. Although Alchemist's son was also envious of the spiritual herbs on the ground, he would definitely not accept Yi Hao's gift. Therefore, he snorted coldly. If there's nothing else, I'm going to leave. Alchemist's son looked at Yi Hao and said coldly. But Yi Hao didn't pay any attention to him at all. Seeing Yi Hao's attitude of ignoring him, Alchemist's son flew into a rage. Alchemist's son looked at Yi Hao angrily, but Yi Hao still ignored him. Then we'll respectfully accept your offer. The group of alchemists began to pick the spiritual herbs on the ground. At the beginning, the alchemists were still very reserved. But later on, a few alchemists almost fought over a certain pill. In the end, the group of alchemists each chose a spiritual herb. Elder Hu looked at the remaining 2 spiritual herbs on the ground and chose one of them. Elder Hu, take that spiritual herb too. Yi Hao looked at the remaining spiritual herb on the ground and said to Elder Hu. This was because the pills that Elder Hu refined were of the best quality among all the alchemists. As for the remaining 2 spiritual grasses, they were slightly inferior compared to the spiritual grasses that had already been picked. Chapter 983. Thank you so much, Third Prince Consort. Elder Hu was surprised to hear this. Elder Hu was not pretentious. Although these 2 spiritual herbs were not as good as the ones that had been snatched, they were still very valuable. However, they were still very valuable. Old Hu immediately put away the 2 mystical grasses. His impression of Yi Hao instantly improved. The rest of the alchemists did the same. They were initially disgusted with Yi Hao. After all, with their status, Yi Hao had forced them to come here. How could they not be angry? Naturally, they would not have a good impression of Yi Hao because of their anger. However, when Yi Hao had taken out the pill formula for the 3 revolutions life, profound pill, and allowed them to learn the pill formula, their dislike of Yi Hao had immediately lessened. Now that Yi Hao had given them the expensive spiritual herbs, their impression of Yi Hao improved greatly. However, they did not know that the spiritual herbs that they thought were very expensive were in Yi Hao's storage space. They were piled up in Yi Hao's space ring. Compared to the expensive spiritual herbs, the spiritual herbs that they had obtained were not worth mentioning at all. Third Prince Consort, we think that the 3 revolutions life pill is very important to you. Why don't we refine some more for you? Elder Hu also felt that it was inappropriate to take Yi Hao's spiritual herbs, so he took the initiative to speak up. Hearing Elder Hu's words, the rest of the alchemists nodded. Alchemist's son was unhappy to see everyone's reaction. He snorted coldly and left angrily. Since all of you are so kind, that's great. Yi Hao could not have asked for more when he saw the alchemist's reaction. Not to mention the effects of the 3 revolutions life pill, he could gain a lot of alchemy experience just by watching the alchemists refine the pills. Everyone, take a rest first. I'll be back soon. Yi Hao said to the alchemist as he was worried about Emperor Tianyuan. Your Highness, Third Prince Consort, please go ahead. I'll wait here for you. That's right, Third Prince Consort. Don't worry about us. Go ahead, Your Highness. The alchemists were not stupid. They naturally knew that Yi Hao was in such a hurry to force them to come here. He definitely needed to refine pills urgently. Son of a bitch, how dare you treat me like this? I, Pill Master Qin, will never let you off. After Alchemist's son left Tianyuan Imperial Palace, he looked back at Tianyuan Imperial Palace and snorted coldly. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Alchemist's son didn't return to his own pill pavilion. Instead, he walked out of the heaven-origin imperial city. "Greetings, Your Highness the third Prince Consort." When Yi Hao arrived outside Emperor Tianyuan's palace, a group of eunuchs and bodyguards immediately saluted Yi Hao. "How is Her Majesty?" Yi Hao asked with concern. "His Majesty is still in a coma," the eunuch said worriedly. "Quick, take me there," Yi Hao said anxiously when he heard the eunuch's words. When they entered the palace, Emperor Tianyuan was still lying on the dragon bed with a pale face. The palace maids beside him were all anxious as they helped Emperor Tianyuan wipe his face. "Greetings, Your Highness." When they saw Yi Hao enter, the palace maids immediately saluted Yi Hao. Yi Hao nodded and took out a 3 revolutions life pill. "Third Prince Consort, this is..." An old eunuch had served Emperor Tianyuan all his life. Naturally, he was loyal to the emperor. When he saw the pill that Yi Hao took out, he couldn't help but ask worriedly, "What? Are you suspecting that I will harm Her Majesty?" Yi Hao frowned and looked at the eunuch. "I wouldn't dare." The eunuch quickly bowed. Yi Hao couldn't be bothered to continue talking nonsense with the eunuch. He directly put the 3 revolutions life pill into Emperor Tianyuan's mouth and helped him to refine it. After the 3 revolutions life pill was put in Emperor Tianyuan's mouth, Emperor Tianyuan immediately looked like he was about to cry in pain. When he saw the pain on Emperor Tianyuan's face, he said, "Thank you, Your Highness." Elder, who was obviously surprised when he heard this. Elder, who was not pretentious. Although these 2 spiritual herbs were not as good as the ones that had been snatched away, they were still very valuable. However, they were still very valuable. Old, who immediately stored the 2 mystical grasses away. His impression of Yi Hao instantly improved. The rest of the alchemists did the same. They were originally disgusted with Yi Hao. After all, with their status, Yi Hao had forced them to come here. How could they not be angry? With this anger, they naturally didn't have a good impression of Yi Hao. However, when Yi Hao took out the formula for the 3 revolutions life pill and let them learn the formula, their dislike of Yi Hao immediately lessened. Now that Yi Hao even gave them the expensive spiritual herbs, they naturally had a good impression of Yi Hao. However, they didn't know that the spiritual herbs were already very expensive in their eyes. They were piled up in Yi Hao's space ring. Compared to the really expensive spiritual herbs, the spiritual herbs that they had obtained were not even worth mentioning. "Your Highness, the 3 revolutions life pill seems to be very important to you. Why don't we help you refine some more?" Elder, who also felt that it wasn't good to take the 2 spiritual herbs from Yi Hao, so he took the initiative to speak up. Hearing Elder Hu's words, the rest of the alchemists also nodded. Alchemist Sun was really unhappy when he saw everyone's reaction. He snorted coldly and left angrily. Since everyone has the intention, that's the best. Seeing the alchemist's reaction, Yi Hao couldn't ask for more. Not to mention the effects of the 3 revolutions life pill. Just by watching the alchemist refine the pills, he would be able to gain a lot of alchemy experience. "Everyone, take a rest first. I'll be back soon," Yi Hao said to the alchemists as he was worried about Emperor Tianyuan. "Your Highness, third Prince Consort, please go ahead. I'll wait here for you." "That's right, Your Highness. Don't worry about us. Your Highness, please go ahead." The alchemists weren't stupid. They naturally knew that Yi Hao was in such a hurry to force them to come here. He definitely needed to refine pills urgently. "Bastard! How dare a mere Prince Consort of a small country treat me like this? Alchemy Master Qin, will definitely not let you off." After Alchemist Sun left Tianyuan Imperial Palace, he turned back to look at Tianyuan Imperial Palace and snorted coldly. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Alchemist Sun didn't return to his elixir pavilion. Instead, he walked out of Tianyuan Imperial City. "Greetings, Your Highness." When Yi Hao arrived outside Emperor Tianyuan's palace, a group of eunuchs and guards immediately bowed to Yi Hao. "How is His Majesty?" Yi Hao asked with concern. "His Majesty is still unconscious," the eunuch said worriedly. "Quick, take me to him," Yi Hao said anxiously when he heard the eunuch's words. When they entered the palace, Emperor Tianyuan was still lying on the dragon bed with a pale face. Chapter 984. Hearing Emperor Tianyuan's weak voice, Zhao Ling was overjoyed. Father, you're awake. That's great. Are you all right? Zhao Ling wiped away the tears on her face and said to the eunuch beside her, Bring me some water. Seeing that Emperor Tianyuan had woken up, the eunuch was overjoyed and handed a cup of water to Zhao Ling. Third princess, here's some water. Zhao Ling quickly helped Emperor Tianyuan up and gave the water to Emperor Tianyuan. Zhao Ling thought about how Yi Hao might have done something bad to Emperor Tianyuan and asked worriedly, Father, do you feel unwell? I was just about to ask you, what kind of pill did you give me just now? Although the Sky Yuan Emperor had been unconscious all this while, he had subconsciously sensed that an elixir had entered his body. Moreover, he knew very well that it was all thanks to that pill that he was able to wake up again. Without that pill, he probably would not have been able to wake up again. Did the third prince consort give my father a pill just now? What kind of pill was it? Zhao Ling asked the eunuch. Her heart skipped a beat when she heard Emperor Tianyuan's words. That's right. I don't know what kind of poisonous pill the third prince consort gave your majesty. Your majesty looked like he was in pain, the eunuch quickly said. Zhao Ling was furious when she heard the eunuch's words. Since you knew it was a poisonous pill, why didn't you stop him? I didn't know either. The third prince consort had ulterior motives and wanted to harm your majesty. Moreover, the third prince consort was very powerful. I couldn't stop him. The eunuch said bitterly. Did that pill belong to Yi Hao? Emperor Tianyuan asked Zhao Ling when he heard the eunuch's words. Father, please calm down. It's all my fault. Yell on my guards down. He actually used a poisonous pill to harm you. Zhao Ling said guiltily. Poison pill? Who told you that Yi Hao gave me a poisonous pill? Emperor Tianyuan asked. What? Is it not a poison pill? Zhao Ling frowned and looked at Emperor Tianyuan in confusion. Emperor Tianyuan said, It's all thanks to that pill that I was able to wake up. I felt as if I had walked through the gates of hell and almost never woke up again. Could it be that this son has wronged him? Hearing Emperor Tianyuan's words, Zhao Ling panicked. Zhao Ling recalled how Yi Hao had left the hall with a weak and lonely look on his face. Zhao Ling thought that when Yi Hao left the hall, he did not say a word. Zhao Ling thought about how she had bitten Yi Hao for so long, causing Yi Hao's arm to bleed profusely. Zhao Ling looked at the pool of blood beside the dragon bed. It was so eye-catching and dazzling. It was clearly Yi Hao who had saved her father, but she thought that Yi Hao was harming her father. When she thought about how she had treated Yi Hao, it was like a sharp knife stabbing in her heart. The eunuch also realized that something was wrong. He also realized that it was because of him that the third princess had misunderstood Yi Hao. The eunuch quickly knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Your Majesty, please forgive me. It's this old servant's fault. This old servant misunderstood the third prince consort. This old servant saw the pain on your Majesty's face, so this old servant knows his mistake. Your Majesty, please spare my life. Smack! 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 That's enough. It's not your fault. Get out. Emperor Tianyuan glanced at the eunuch and said, Thank you, Your Majesty. Thank you, Your Majesty. Thank you. Seeing that Emperor Tianyuan did not blame him, the eunuch heaved a sigh of relief and quickly left the hall. Father! At this moment, Zhao Ling's heart was in a mess. She could not help but look at Emperor Tianyuan for help. Go. Apologize to Yi Hao. He will forgive you. Emperor Tianyuan said to Zhao Ling with a smile when he saw the self-reproach on Zhao Ling's face. Will he? At this moment, Zhao Ling's heart was filled with self-reproach and worry. She was worried that Yi Hao would ruin her image in Yi Hao's heart because of this incident. Would Yi Hao ignore her in the future because of this incident? If that were to happen, she would blame herself and regret it for the rest of her life. Zhao Ling could not help but think about why she had been so impulsive before. You want to know if you won't try? Seeing Zhao Ling's worried face, Emperor Tianyuan smiled and stroked Zhao Ling's hair. Then I'll take my leave first. Third prince consort, you don't look too good. You are showing signs of overexertion of your martial energy. Third Prince Consort. How did your arm get injured? Yi Hao came to where the alchemists were waiting. When the alchemists saw Yi Hao's appearance, they could not help but step forward and ask with concern. Hearing the alchemist's concern, Yi Hao felt waves of pain coming from his arm. When he recalled Zhao Linger's shout, his heart ached. Then Yi Hao threw these thoughts out of his mind. He did not want to think too much about it. Yi Hao said to the crowd, "If there's nothing else, let's start refining the elixirs." After Yi Hao finished speaking, he took out the elixirs from his space ring and handed them to the crowd. Third Prince Consort, please take these elixirs first. After taking the elixirs from Yi Hao, Elder Hu took out 2 elixirs and handed them to Yi Hao when he saw the wound on Yi Hao's arm and how weak he looked. Thank you very much. Looking at the medicinal pills handed over by Elder Hu, Yi Hao took the medicinal pills and thanked him. Yi Hao did not stand on ceremony and took the elixirs. In an instant, the wound on his arm started to heal. At the same time, Yi Hao felt the martial energy in his body recovering rapidly. Then, Yi Hao's pale face started to turn rosy. Seeing that Yi Hao was fine, the crowd started to refine the elixirs. Speaking of these alchemists, the lowest rank was Demon Venerable Rank Alchemist. Therefore, Yi Hao could still gain a lot of experience points from watching them refine the elixirs. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for watching them refine the elixirs. Experience points increased by 2,000. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for watching them refine the elixirs. Experience points increased by 2,000. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for watching them refine the elixirs. Experience points increased by 2,000. Yi Hao watched attentively. He hoped that he could raise his level of refining the elixirs by another level. At this rate, it was very possible. At this moment, Zhao Linger arrived outside the main hall. Where's the third Prince Consort? Zhao Linger looked at the closed main hall door and asked the guard. The guard outside the door was Yi Hao's subordinate. He replied to Zhao Ling, "My lord is refining the elixirs with the other alchemists inside. Can I go and report to him?" Zhao Linger asked the guard. Chapter 985. Ding Dong. Congratulations to the host for watching the refining of pills. You have gained 3,000 experience points. Ding Dong. Congratulations to the host for watching the refining of pills. You have gained 3,000 experience points. Ding Dong. Congratulations to the host for watching the refining of pills. You have gained 3,000 experience points. Yi Hao listened to the system's notification in his mind. He realized that as long as he reached the end of the refining process, his experience points would increase greatly. Time flew by. After more than 2 hours, the alchemists finally finished refining the pills. With the previous experience, the apothecaries were able to successfully concoct pills, and their efficiency had increased by quite a bit. This time, more than 10 alchemists succeeded and only 2 failed. As for those 2 people, Yi Hao had also seen the reason for their failure. This had also allowed Yi Hao to gain a lot of experience. Yi Hao put away the pills that the alchemist had refined and looked at the experience points. Basically, they were only a little bit away from leveling up. This made Yi Hao look forward to it. These alchemists in front of him were all experience points. Yi Hao naturally would not let them go. No matter what, he had to level up his alchemist level first. If it's possible, please help me refine another batch, Yi Hao said to Elder Hu and the others. Although Elder Hu and the others had used up a lot of energy after refining the pills, it was not a problem to refine another batch of pills. Hearing Yi Hao's words, Elder Hu and the others nodded. Since the third Prince Consort needs it, we naturally can't refuse. Elder Hu and the others immediately agreed. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for watching the refining of pills. You have gained 2,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for watching the refining of pills. You have gained 2,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for watching the refining of pills. You have gained 2,000 experience points. Seeing the alchemist skillfully refining pills, the system's notification sounded in his mind again. Yi Hao looked at the progress bar of the alchemist and couldn't help but look forward to it. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for watching the refining of pills. You have gained 3,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for watching the refining of pills. You have gained 3,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for watching alchemy. Alchemy experience increased by 3,000. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for leveling up your alchemist rank. Current alchemist rank. Demon Venerable Alchemist. I've finally leveled up. Yi Hao was overjoyed when he heard that his alchemist level had increased. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for watching alchemy. Alchemy experience increased by 1,000. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for watching alchemy. Alchemy experience increased by 1,000. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for watching alchemy. Alchemy experience increased by 1,000. F***CK. This experience drop is too great. Yi Hao thought of himself. When an alchemist's level increased, their experience points would decrease. However, he did not expect that his experience points would drop from 3,000 to 1,000. When Yi Hao saw that his alchemist level had increased while the other alchemists were still refining pills, he felt an itch in his hands. With that thought in mind, Yi Hao took out an alchemist pill and activated the 10,000 beast spiritual fire. Oh my god, the third prince consort is also an alchemist. What's that? That looks like a heavenly flame. Originally, all the alchemists were wholeheartedly focused on refining their own elixirs. However, when they saw Yi Hao's 10,000 beast spiritual fire, they were all shocked. He was not a human, and they almost exploded their cauldrons and failed to refine their pills. Everyone was shocked. Obviously, they were very shocked that Yi Hao was also an alchemist. While everyone was still in shock, Yi Hao had already started to extract the spiritual herbs. Yi Hao's skillful movements were not inferior to theirs. Seeing this, everyone could not help but quickly finish refining the medicinal pills in their hands. Then, they began to focus their attention on Yi Hao. As expected of a heavenly flame, it looks really powerful. The third prince consort is really lucky to be able to obtain a heavenly flame. If the third prince consort focuses on refining pills, his achievements will definitely be better than ours. I didn't expect the third prince consort to be so secretive. Most importantly, the third prince consort is so young, and he already has a heavenly flame. His future is limitless. If the alchemy sects know about this, it will cause a fight. As alchemists, they naturally knew how precious and rare a heavenly flame was. Those who had a heavenly flame were either from an ancient family or the inheritance of an ancient force. Otherwise, they were people with great luck. It could be said that those who had a heavenly flame were extraordinary. Similarly, there was no alchemist who did not want a heavenly flame. However, it was not so easy to obtain a heavenly flame. Take the alchemists present, for example. In the Tianyuan kingdom, they were all influential and top alchemists. However, among these people, only a handful of them had seen a heavenly flame before, let alone having one. At this moment, everyone was looking at Yi Hao's 10,000 beast spiritual fire with envy and greed. If not for the heavenly flame, it was basically impossible to snatch it. Moreover, they could not defeat Yi Hao in a fight. They would definitely snatch Yi Hao's heavenly flame. Looking at the third prince consort's refining skills, the third prince consort should be an alchemist of the demon lord level. Elder Hu looked at Yi Hao and said, hearing Elder Hu's words, all the alchemists nodded in unison. However, it seems that the third prince consort is also refining the 3 turns life pill. An alchemist said as he sniffed the air and smelled the scent of spiritual herbs. This is strange. The third prince consort is an alchemist and can refine the 3 turns life pill himself. Why does he want us to help him refine the pill? That's right. Isn't this unnecessary? At this moment, all the alchemists present were looking at Yi Hao with puzzled expressions. They did not know that before they came, Yi Hao's alchemist level was not even at the demon lord level. How could he possibly refine a demon lord level pill? However, even if he told them the truth, they would not believe him. After all, when others wanted to increase their alchemy level, they had to slowly comprehend it while refining pills. In order to increase their alchemy level, some people might not be able to increase their alchemy level for at least 3 to 5 years, or at most 10 years. For someone like Yi Hao, who was able to raise his apothecary rank by several levels in a single day just by watching others concoct pills, it was simply a fantasy story. It was simply inconceivable. I wonder if the third prince consort will be able to succeed in refining the pill. Everyone could not help but be curious as they watched Yi Hao refine the pill. After all, refining pills was different from other things. One could not be careless. Success might come naturally at the beginning, but one carelessness later would cause one's efforts to go to waste. Therefore, everyone could not help but be curious as to whether Yi Hao could successfully refine the pill. Chapter 986. Pill Up. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for successfully refining pills. You have obtained 3 third-turn life pills. High-grade pills. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 30,000 experience points in refining pills. Hiss. Yi Hao could not help but suck in a breath of cold air when he heard that he had obtained experience points in refining pills. Because refining a furnace of pills directly gave him 30,000 experience points. It was indeed terrifying. However, the quality of the pills that he had refined was only high grade, which made him a little dissatisfied. After all, in the past in the Myriad Kingdom continent, the pills that he had refined were basically all peerless grade. However, this was not his fault. After all, if one wanted to refine a peerless grade pill, one had to look at the quality of the spiritual herbs, regardless of the technique. After all, it was obviously impossible to refine a peerless grade pill with a bunch of low-quality spiritual herbs. Although the spiritual herbs that Yi Hao used were not of poor quality, they were not of excellent quality either. It was already very good to be able to refine a high-grade pill. When Elder Hu and the others saw that Yi Hao had successfully refined the pills, they all came up one after another, wanting to see how Yi Hao had refined the pills. After seeing the pills, everyone suddenly looked at each other with a shocked expression. For a moment, everyone was speechless. After a while, Elder Hu's voice trembled. He looked at Yi Hao excitedly and said, "Your Highness, can you show us the pills?" Hearing Elder Hu's question, Yi Hao directly handed the 3 elixir pills in his hand to Elder Hu and the others. Elder Hu and the others immediately and carefully took the pills. Each and every one of them had a shocked expression on their faces. This is really a high-grade pill. Oh my God, Your Highness is only a demon master alchemist, but he can refine a demon emperor-level pill of high grade. Your Highness, could it be that you are an alchemy genius? Compared to Your Highness, we are really ashamed. The alchemists present could not help but exclaim when they saw the quality of the third-turn life pill. After all, with their alchemist level, they knew how difficult it was to refine a high-rank Devil Emperor-level pill. Not to mention high-grade pills, among these alchemists, almost none of them could refine middle-grade pills. These alchemists had to go all out to refine Devil Overlord-level pills. Reaching low-grade quality was already very good. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been so many people trying to refine the 3 Revolution Life Profound pill. That was because it was extremely difficult to successfully concoct pills that were beyond one's level, not to mention that the pills had to be of good quality. Among these alchemists, only Elder Hu was a Devil Emperor alchemist. The quality of the 3 Revolutions Life pill could barely reach the middle grade. Therefore, when everyone saw that Yi Hao was already a demon sovereign alchemist at such a young age, it was enough to shock them. But when they saw that Yi Hao could also concoct pills that were above his level, they were even more shocked. When they saw that not only did Yi Hao concoct pills that were above his level, but he also succeeded and even made the quality of the pills reach the upper grade, they were naturally extremely shocked. If they knew that Yi Hao was still not satisfied with the pills that he concocted, they wondered if they would vomit blood in anger. Suddenly, Elder Hu looked at Yi Hao and asked, "Your Highness, who did you learn your alchemy skills from?" After all, in his opinion, Yi Hao's alchemy skills were so powerful. Then Yi Hao's master must be an expert in alchemy. There's no one. Yi Hao said honestly. That was because no one had taught him the art of alchemy. Strictly speaking, his alchemy skills were so powerful, and it was all thanks to the system. But he could not possibly say that the system was his master. Hearing Yi Hao's words, everyone realized that Yi Hao did not seem to be talking. They couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. According to Yi Hao's words, that was self-taught talent. A genius in alchemy. Elder Hu looked at Yi Hao and said with sparkling eyes, "He's not just a genius, he's an unparalleled genius. Without a master, his alchemy skills have reached such a level. This is really terrifying. Compared to your highness, we are nothing." As Old Hu's voice fell, everyone cried out in surprise. They looked at Yi Hao with deep admiration. If outsiders saw the expressions of these alchemists, they would be so shocked that their jaws would drop. After all, these alchemists were usually considered masters of alchemy in the Tianyuan kingdom. Usually, these alchemists were arrogant and had their eyes on the top of their heads. But there was no other way. After all, they were masters of alchemy. Even some of the more powerful people had to respect them. If they wanted them to concoct pills, they would have to beg them. No matter what, in the eyes of outsiders, these alchemists were not easy to get along with. Even some devil emperor powerhouses, they did not even put them in their eyes, nor did they give them face. But now, these alchemists were looking at Yi Hao with reverence. How could they not be shocked? "I wonder if your highness is interested in joining an alchemy sect?" Elder Hu's eyes suddenly lit up and asked. Yi Hao did not have a master, but his alchemy skills were so strong. If he had a master to nurture him, it would be amazing. Moreover, Yi Hao was so young and had the help of the extraordinary fire. When he grew up in the future, he would definitely be a master of alchemy. His future was limitless. If he could rope Yi Hao into his sect, it would definitely be very beneficial to his sect in the future. When everyone heard Elder Hu's words, they could not help but look at him. They did not expect Elder Hu to try to rope Yi Hao in at this time. No one dared to fall behind. They all wanted to rope Yi Hao in. After all, it would be a great merit for them to rope in a genius alchemist for their sect. But before they could speak, Yi Hao rejected them tactfully. "Do you think that with my status, I will join your sect?" Yi Hao naturally would not say that he would wipe out their sects in the future and make all the sects submit to him and work for him. If he joined any sect at this time, it would be even more troublesome. After all, if Yi Hao joined Elder Hu's sect and became a member of Elder Hu's sect, it would be difficult for them to attack Elder Hu's sect. Of course, with the current strength of the Tianyuan kingdom, it was obviously not possible for these sects to submit to them. After all, these sects were too powerful and spread across various countries. Even the Tianyuan kingdom was not the headquarters of their sections. Therefore, even if the Tianyuan kingdom had internal and external troubles, these people did not have to worry. Chapter 987. This was also the reason why the eldest princess didn't dare to touch these people when she was escaping. It was because the sects behind these people were too powerful. Even some countries didn't dare to provoke them. Hearing Yi Hao's rejection, Elder Hu didn't get angry. He continued, "If your highness joins my sect, you will definitely bring great benefits to the Tianyuan kingdom. This is something that many emperors can only dream of." What Elder Hu said was indeed true. Many emperors of the countries, in order to curry favor with these alchemy sects, or to cozy up to these alchemy sections, they wanted to send their children to these sects, but these sects didn't want them. After all, everyone knew that the most important thing for cultivation was elixirs, and these alchemy sects controlled a large number of alchemists and elixirs. As long as these alchemy sects asked, there would be a large number of strong people willing to work for them. So that was to say, as long as these sects asked, any country might rise rapidly. It was also possible that as long as these sects asked, any country would make enemies on all sides and decline rapidly, or even be destroyed. Therefore, no country dared to provoke the alchemy sects easily. unless the country had absolute strength. Elder who looked at Yi Hao expectantly, hoping that he could use the future of the Tianyuan kingdom to attract Yi Hao. Elder who thought that Yi Hao would agree. After all, in his opinion, this was something that would only benefit Yi Hao and not harm him at all. But who would have thought that Yi Hao would reject him directly? I'm sorry, we can become friends, but I really can't join a sect, Yi Hao said apologetically. Could it be that your highness has some power behind you? Otherwise, your highness can't join other sects. At this moment, an alchemist suddenly guessed. Hearing this alchemist's words, all the alchemists looked at each other and then at Yi Hao. Yi Hao had no other choice but to nod. Otherwise, if these alchemists pestered him to join their sects, he would be annoyed to death. If those people who wanted to join these sects knew what Yi Hao was thinking, would they be angered to death? Seeing Yi Hao nod, although everyone was a little disappointed, their faces showed that they had expected it. After all, they had some understanding of Yi Hao. He had appeared in the Tianyuan kingdom out of nowhere, and he was not from the Tianyuan kingdom. Yet, he was able to turn the Tianyuan kingdom's defeat into victory. Furthermore, they could sweep through the rebel army in a short period of time and force them to give up the imperial city and flee. You had the missing pill formula, knew how to refine pills, and even had the deviant flame. Most importantly, other people were racking their brains trying to join their sections. But when they invited Yi Hao to join, Yi Hao refused. How could such a person be an ordinary person? So at this moment, Yi Hao became unfathomable in everyone's eyes, especially the power behind Yi Hao. At this moment, everyone couldn't help but wonder what kind of powerful force was behind Yi Hao. Of course, these wild thoughts also shattered their thoughts of continuing to rope in Yi Hao. This was because they believed that the force behind Yi Hao might be even more powerful than their sections. Since your highness is willing to befriend us, we are more than happy to do so. That's right. It is our honor to befriend your highness. If there's a chance to discuss alchemy with your highness, that would be even better. Your highness's alchemy skills will definitely surpass ours. When the time comes, I hope your highness can give us some pointers. When the group of alchemists saw that it was impossible to rope in Yi Hao, they couldn't help but take a step back and try to befriend Yi Hao. Everyone, in a few days' time, it will be my coronation ceremony. I hope that everyone can be present. Seeing that everyone wanted to befriend him, Yi Hao naturally wouldn't stand on ceremony. After all, it was his coronation ceremony. When the time came, the ceremony couldn't be too shabby. If these sects came to congratulate him, he would be considered to have some face. Hearing Yi Hao's words, everyone was stunned. Is what your highness said true? Your highness is going to become the emperor of Tianyuan kingdom. Could it be that the rumors that Emperor Tianyuan is going to abdicate are true? Oh my god, this is really unexpected. Emperor Tianyuan is really going to abdicate. Therefore, the alchemists couldn't help but exclaim. This was because they had also heard that Emperor Tianyuan was going to abdicate. Before they could investigate, they were captured and brought in for alchemy. At first, they thought that it was just a rumor. They never expected it to be true. Elder, who was the first to react, he quickly said, since it was an invitation from His Highness, we naturally have to give him face. That's right, that's right. When the time comes, we will definitely bring gifts to congratulate Your Highness. Your Highness is giving us face by inviting us. How can we not come? Don't worry, Your Highness. We will be there at 1 o'clock. As soon as Ulai finished speaking, everyone else chimed in. Thank you very much. Let's continue to study alchemy. Yi Hao was overjoyed when he saw that everyone had agreed. That would be for the best. Hearing Yi Hao say this, everyone couldn't ask for more. They were so excited that they smiled. Although Yi Hao relied on the system for most of the credit for alchemy, however, the techniques and methods of alchemy, as well as the alchemist's level and the things that they understood, the system would help Yi Hao understand and remember. It was as if these things were engraved in Yi Hao's mind. In other words, Yi Hao understood these things very well. Therefore, Yi Hao didn't have stage fright when he discussed alchemy with the alchemists. He could always express some unique opinions. This made the alchemists, including Elder, who secretly clicked their tongues. They looked at Yi Hao with admiration in their eyes. This discussion lasted until the latter half of the night before the alchemists reluctantly ended it. This also made the alchemists admire Yi Hao even more. This time, I've really learned a lot from Your Highness. Your Highness's insights have really enlightened me. I really didn't expect Your Highness to have such a deep understanding of alchemy at such a young age. If it weren't for the fact that it's so late, I really want to talk to Your Highness for another day and night. I've really learned something this time. I wonder when Your Highness will have the time to discuss alchemy with us again. All the alchemists present were eager to continue. All of them couldn't wait to talk to Yi Hao for another 3 days and 3 nights. Although there was a big gap between their age and Yi Hao's. Many of them even wanted to call Yi Hao brothers. Some even wanted to be Yi Hao's disciples. Of course, all of these were rejected by Yi Hao. Chapter 988. Your Highness, please rest early. We'll take our leave. With Elder Hu and the other statuses, there was no need for them to be so respectful to Yi Hao. However, at this moment, everyone looked at Yi Hao with a respectful expression on their faces. Okay. Yi Hao nodded at everyone's departure. Soon, everyone put away their cauldrons and left the main hall. Just as the alchemists left, a guard immediately walked in and reported, Your Highness, the third princess has been waiting outside the hall for a long time. Yi Hao did not ask Zhao Ling. Instead, he asked Emperor Tianyuan, Is His Majesty awake? I heard that His Majesty has woken up. The guard quickly replied when he heard Yi Hao's question. That's good. I'm going to refine pills. You may leave. Yi Hao waved his hand at the guard and instructed him. But the guard wanted to say something about the third princess, but Yi Hao interrupted him. You may leave. Yes. Seeing that Yi Hao was unwilling to listen to the third princess, the guard tactfully left the main hall. After watching the guard leave, Yi Hao looked at his sleeve that was still stained with blood and could not help but laugh at himself. Yi Hao shook his head. He took out his cauldron and started refining pills crazily. To be honest, Yi Hao felt very aggrieved. He was clearly saving Emperor Tianyuan, but he was misunderstood to be harming Emperor Tianyuan. If this was someone else, it would be fine. After all, he would not care. However, this person was indeed Zhao Ling. He could not help but feel bitterly disappointed. Therefore, Yi Hao's mind was in a mess. He did not want to think about anything else. He only wanted to refine pills to get rid of the troubles in his mind. How is His Highness the Prince Consort? Seeing the group of alchemists leave and the guards come out, Zhao Ling immediately asked anxiously. The guard shook his head and replied respectfully, Reporting to Your Highness, His Highness said that he wants to refine pills. He doesn't want to see me. Hearing the guard's words, Zhao Ling wasn't stupid. He couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. How about Your Highness go back first? The guard looked at Zhao Ling with a disappointed expression and couldn't help but ask. It doesn't matter. If he doesn't want to see me, I'll wait for him here. I don't believe that he won't come out. Zhao Ling was suddenly said with a firm attitude. Zhao Ling knew that it was because he misunderstood Yi Hao that Yi Hao didn't want to see him. But the more Yi Hao refused to see her, the more she blamed herself and felt upset. Zhao Ling regretted not trusting Yi Hao, but doubting Yi Hao. Hearing Zhao Ling's words, the guard was stunned at first, then asked in shock, Your Highness is precious. Are you really going to wait here? Go ahead and do your work. Don't worry about me. Zhao Ling said to the guard. Yes. Hearing Zhao Ling's order and seeing Zhao Ling's insistence, the guard could only retreat to the side. Boom! At this moment, there was a sudden explosion in the main hall. What's going on? Hearing the explosion in the main hall, Zhao Ling was shocked and quickly looked at the guard. The guard quickly opened his mouth and asked, My lord, are you all right? I'm fine. Yi Hao's cold voice sounded. Hearing Yi Hao's words, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. It seems like the lord failed in refining pills and the furnace exploded, the guard said to Zhao Ling. Hearing the guard's words, Zhao Ling nodded and felt relieved. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for refining pills. You have received 1,000 experience points. In the main hall, Yi Hao looked at the furnace in front of him and couldn't help but shake his head with a bitter smile. He didn't expect that when he heard Zhao linger outside the main hall, he would be so distracted that it would affect his pill refining. Just now, he had been distracted for a moment, and the furnace had exploded. Refining pills requires a clear mind. Continue. Yi Hao muttered to himself after cleaning the furnace and started refining pills again. However, not long after, there was another explosion. Yi Hao didn't do it. Instead, he used it as a whetstone to hone himself and continued refining pills. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for refining the 3 Revolutions Life Pill. You have received 2 3 Revolutions Life Pill. Ding dong. You have received 10,000 experience points. In just one night, Yi Hao had lost count of how many times he had failed to refine pills. By now, the sky was already bright, and Yi Hao had finally refined a furnace of pills. Why is there so little experience points? Yi Hao couldn't help but be stunned when he heard the experience points given by the system. When Yi Hao saw the quality of the pills, he instantly understood why there was so little experience points given. It was because the quality of the pills had only reached the inferior grade. This was a world of difference compared to the 3 Revolutions Life Pill that he had refined previously. Furthermore, he had only managed to refine 2 pills this time. Naturally, he had wasted a lot of spiritual herbs that night. Fortunately, because of the system, even if he failed to refine pills, he would still receive experience points. This allowed Yi Hao to gain a lot of experience points in refining pills overnight. Therefore, he didn't suffer too much loss. Forget it. I won't refine pills anymore. Let's go see the old man. Seeing that the sky was already bright outside, Yi Hao couldn't help but worry about Emperor Tianyuan's health. Then, Yi Hao put away the furnace and walked out of the main hall. When a group of guards saw Yi Hao coming out, they were about to bow and greet him, but they were interrupted by Yi Hao. This was because Yi Hao saw a beautiful figure lying on the steps, asleep. Seeing Yi Hao's gaze, a guard quickly walked to Yi Hao's side and reported to Yi Hao in a low voice, "Reporting to my lord, the 3rd princess has been here for the entire night." Yi Hao nodded and didn't say anything else as he walked forward. "Yi Hao, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Yi Hao, forgive me." Just as Yi Hao was about to walk past Zhao Ling, he suddenly heard Zhao Ling talking in her sleep. This made Yi Hao stop at his tracks. Yi Hao turned to look at Zhao Ling, and saw that there were traces of tears on Zhao Ling's face. Yi Hao couldn't help but be moved by this. Yi Hao froze for a moment as he looked at the curled-up Zhao Ling. Then, he took out a cloak from his space and covered Zhao Ling with it. After that, Yi Hao strode towards Emperor Tianyuan's residence. Third Prince, Consort, Your Highness." Yi Hao had just arrived at Emperor Tianyuan's sleeping quarters when he bumped into the eunuch who had said that he had given Emperor Tianyuan a poison pill. When the eunuch saw Yi Hao, he was so nervous that he started to stammer. And when Yi Hao saw this eunuch, his gaze turned cold. If it weren't for this eunuch, there wouldn't have been so many misunderstandings. "Please spare my life, Your Highness. I only misunderstood Your Highness because I was worried about His Majesty. I deserve to die 1,000 deaths, but I really didn't mean to misunderstand Your Highness." The eunuch felt Yi Hao's cold gaze and his heart trembled. He quickly knelt down and begged for mercy. "Oh, it's Yi Hao. Come in. This is all a misunderstanding. Why bother with a servant?" The eunuch's voice naturally alarmed Emperor Tianyuan. Emperor Tianyuan's voice came from the main hall. Chapter 989. Get Lost. Seeing that Emperor Tianyuan was begging for mercy on behalf of the eunuch, Yi Hao did not want to waste any more time with the eunuch. "Thank you for sparing my life, Your Highness." Hearing Yi Hao asking him to get lost, the eunuch was happy instead of angry, because it meant that he had at least kept his life. "Old man, how do you feel?" Yi Hao looked at Emperor Tianyuan, who was still lying on the dragon bed, and suddenly frowned and asked, because he found that the effect of the 3 turns life pill that Emperor Tianyuan had taken did not seem to be as good as he had imagined. According to Yi Hao's estimation, Emperor Tianyuan should have recovered 90% of his health after taking the 3 turns life pill, even if he was not in good health. However, although Emperor Tianyuan's health was much better than it had been during this period of time, he was still not comparable to a normal person. Could it be that I overestimated the 3 turns life pill? It shouldn't be. Yihao could not help but think. I want to ask you, what kind of elixir did you give me to have such a good effect? Emperor Tianyuan asked Yihao with a smile, because Emperor Tianyuan had thought that he would probably never wake up this time. Therefore, it was a pleasant surprise for him that he could wake up this time. It's the 3 turns life pill this time. Yihao answered Emperor Tianyuan's question first. The 3 turns life pill? What kind of elixir is that? Obviously, Emperor Tianyuan had never heard of the 3 turns life pill, so he directly asked in confusion. It's an elixir that has been lost for a long time. It's a demon emperor-level elixir. You can even get your hands on this. You're really not ordinary. Emperor Tianyuan could not help but say with a smile. After all, he had taken the 3 turns life pill with his own mouth and had experienced it firsthand. He could feel that the 3 turns life pill was definitely much more powerful than an ordinary demon emperor-level elixir. One had to know that he had taken many healing elixirs for his injuries. Among these elixirs, there were also many demon emperor-level elixirs. However, it didn't seem to have any effect on his body. However, the 3 revolutions life quintessence pill was able to bring him back from the dead. Naturally, one could see how extraordinary the 3 revolutions life quintessence pill was. By the way, how is your body? Yihao looked at Emperor Tianyuan and asked with concern. I'm much better. At least I can live for a few more days. Emperor Tianyuan answered Yihao's question. What? Upon hearing Emperor Tianyuan's words, Yihao was clearly dissatisfied. After all, he had spent so much effort to refine the 3rd transformation life pill for Emperor Tianyuan. Even if the Emperor Tianyuan couldn't recover by 90%, he would at least be able to recover by half. However, now it only had a little effect on Emperor Tianyuan. Naturally, Yihao couldn't accept it. Yihao observed carefully and found that Emperor Tianyuan still didn't look too good. This is strange. What's going on? The 3 revolutions life quintessence pill didn't have much effect on Emperor Tianyuan. This made Yihao very puzzled. If it weren't for the fact that Emperor Tianyuan's body couldn't withstand the effects of the 3 revolutions life quintessence pill in a short period of time, Yihao would have taken it. Yihao would have taken another 3 revolutions life quintessence pill and handed it to Emperor Tianyuan's system. However, Emperor Tianyuan had already taken a 3 revolutions life quintessence pill. If he took another 3 revolutions life quintessence pill in a short period of time, he would be saving Emperor Tianyuan. Instead of saving Emperor Tianyuan, he wished that Emperor Tianyuan would die quickly. Looking at Yihao's frowning brows, Emperor Tianyuan couldn't help but say with a smile, "Well, I'm already very satisfied that I can wake up." Hearing Emperor Tianyuan's words, Yihao couldn't help but withdraw his thoughts and nod at the same time. I have no other thoughts now. I just want to see you ascend the throne so that I can die without regrets, Emperor Tianyuan suddenly said. By the way, have you prepared for the abdication ceremony and the ascension ceremony? Emperor Tianyuan suddenly looked at Yihao and asked. Hearing Emperor Tianyuan's question, Yihao shook his head. What a joke. Since Emperor Tianyuan had fainted yesterday, to him helping Emperor Tianyuan to refine the pill, and now he didn't have the time to prepare for these trivial matters. Why aren't you preparing for such an important matter? Don't tell me you want me to prepare for it. Emperor Tianyuan looked at Yihao angrily and said, Don't worry. As long as these things are passed down, they will be taken care of quickly. Yihao said, After all, it was just preparing for the ceremony. They didn't need anything. Hearing Yihao's words, Emperor Tianyuan nodded with satisfaction. However, Emperor Tianyuan still said, Although we don't usually have any contact with the surrounding countries, they will definitely send people over for such an important matter like your ascension to the throne. Of course, don't hope that these countries will come to congratulate you. It's already very good that they don't come looking for trouble. Among these countries, there are many that are not weaker than Duan Kingdom. At the same time, there are also many countries that are on good terms with Duan Kingdom. Emperor Tian Yuan didn't forget to remind Yi Hao. What you mean is that these countries will come looking for trouble. Yi Hao immediately understood when he heard Emperor Tian Yuan's words. That's right. Emperor Tian Yuan nodded. Yi Hao also had a dignified look on his face. It seemed that his path to becoming the emperor wouldn't be smooth sailing. However, Yi Hao wasn't afraid at all. He wasn't afraid of those countries coming looking for trouble. He was more worried that those countries wouldn't come looking for trouble. After all, if those countries came looking for trouble, that would be exactly what he wanted, because then he would have a reason to make a move on those countries. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to make a move on those countries. By the way, Ling went to look for you? How is it? Have you guys reconciled? Emperor Tian Yuan suddenly asked with concern. When he heard Emperor Tian Yuan's question, Yi Hao's face immediately sank. However, he still told the truth. I didn't see her. Logically speaking, I shouldn't have gotten involved in this matter. After all, it's a matter of love between you young people. You can handle it yourself. But no matter what, Ling is still my daughter. I have to say a few words for her. Actually, you shouldn't blame Ling. After all, Ling it was emotional at that time. To be honest, she also cares a lot about you. As her father, I can naturally tell what my daughter is thinking. Emperor Tian Yuan looked at Yi Hao and tried to persuade him. After all, he also hoped that Yi Hao could be together with Zhao Ling. After all, he was very satisfied with Yi Hao. He also didn't want to see Yi Hao and Zhao Ling get into a conflict. When the time came, their relationship would become strained. Therefore, he also wanted to resolve the conflict between Yi Hao and Zhao Ling. Chapter 990. What? Emperor Tian Yuan is abdicating? Who is Yi Hao? Why would Emperor Tian Yuan abdicate his throne to him? The coronation ceremony is bound to be lively. Of course, we have to send people to watch the show. Almost overnight, the news that Emperor Tian Yuan was abdicating and Yi Hao was about to ascend the throne and become the new emperor of Tian Yuan Kingdom had spread to the surrounding countries. It could be said that although Tian Yuan Kingdom looked peaceful, it was already experiencing turbulent undercurrents. Zhao Linger woke up from her sleep. When she saw the cloak on her body, she was stunned for a moment before looking around anxiously. Your Highness, you're awake. Seeing that Zhao Linger had woken up, the guard quickly came over and bowed. Zhao Linger looked at the guard and quickly asked, "Whose cloak is this?" "This is the Lord's." Hearing Zhao Linger's question, the guard quickly replied. Hearing that the cloak belonged to Yi Hao, Zhao Linger felt a warmth in her heart and quickly asked, "Where's Yi Hao?" "Lord, I'm here." Just as the guard was about to answer, Yi Hao's voice suddenly rang out. "Greetings, Lord." Seeing Yi Hao, the group of guards quickly bowed and greeted him. "All of you are dismissed." Yi Hao waved at the group of guards. "Yes." Hearing Yi Hao's command, the group of guards immediately left. Yi Hao Seeing that the group of guards had left, Zhao Linger looked at Yi Hao and was about to apologize. "It's fine. It's all in the past." Yi Hao interrupted Zhao Ling. Although Zhao Linger was interrupted by Yi Hao, she still looked at Yi Hao and apologized sincerely. "I'm sorry." Seeing Zhao Linger's sincere expression, some of the anger in Yi Hao's heart dissipated. Thinking about it carefully, it was understandable that Zhao Ling had misunderstood the situation at that time. Reporting to the Lord, Marshal Sun has returned. At this moment, a guard suddenly came to report. "Let's go and take a look," Yi Hao said to Zhao Ling. Hearing Yi Hao's words, Zhao Linger nodded obediently. Yi Hao brought Zhao Linger to a large hall. At this moment, Sun Shangxiang was already standing in the middle of the ceremony. Looking at Sun Shangxiang's valiant back, Yi Hao was full of praise. Even if Zhao Linger was a woman, when she saw Sun Shangxiang, her eyes lit up and she exclaimed, "So beautiful." If she were a man, Zhao Linger felt that she would fall in love with Sun Shangxiang. Thinking of this, Zhao Linger couldn't help but look at Yi Hao with hidden bitterness. Ahem, why are you looking at me like that? Seeing Zhao Linger's resentful gaze, Yi Hao couldn't help but cough awkwardly. Tell me, do you like this beautiful subordinate of yours? Zhao Linger blurted out, but immediately regretted it. That's not right. What does it have to do with me whether he likes someone else or not? Aren't we just concerned in name? Zhao Linger thought. And of course, Sun Shangxiang heard Zhao Linger's words. Hearing Zhao Linger's words, Sun Shangxiang couldn't help pricking up her ears and waiting for Yi Hao's answer. Hearing Zhao Linger's question, Yi Hao looked at Sun Shangxiang in the hall with an awkward expression. As the saying goes, even heroes have a weakness for the charms of beautiful women. Moreover, Sun Shangxiang was such a valiant woman. Yi Hao naturally had a good impression of her. Given Yi Hao's character, he naturally wanted to take her for himself. After all, which man would be willing to give a beautiful woman to someone else? But now, Yi Hao had too many things to worry about. He had no time to be entangled in these personal affairs. After all, he had come to the ancient demon realm to find the antidote for Purple Heaven Divine Emperor. Another purpose was to find Zmor. Now, he was carrying the heavy responsibility of unifying the ancient demon realm. And now, he was about to ascend the throne. When the time came, there would be even more things to deal with. At the thought of this, Yi Hao didn't say anything more and walked directly into the hall. Seeing that Yi Hao didn't say anything, Sun Shangxiang heaved a sigh of relief. She was really worried that Yi Hao would say that he liked her. Then, it would definitely put some restrictions on her. But for some reason, Sun Shangxiang didn't hear Yi Hao say that he liked her. She actually felt a little disappointed in her heart. Suddenly, Sun Shangxiang's heart was in a mess. She didn't even notice that Yi Hao had walked up to her. Seeing that Sun Shangxiang was in a daze, Yi Hao couldn't help but frown and ask with concern, "What's wrong, Shangxiang? Did you encounter any difficulties?" Hearing Yi Hao's voice, Sun Shangxiang finally reacted. She was shocked and quickly bowed. "Greetings, Your Highness." At ease, Yi Hao looked at Sun Shangxiang. Her face was actually a little red. He was puzzled but still said to Sun Shangxiang, "Thank you, Your Highness. By the way, how's the eldest princess? Have you caught up with her?" Yi Hao gestured for Sun Shangxiang to sit down and asked. Hearing Yi Hao's question, Sun Shangxiang immediately got up and knelt on the ground. She blamed herself and said, "Your Highness, I'm incompetent and didn't catch up with the eldest princess. Please punish me." Hearing Sun Shangxiang's words, Yi Hao was obviously surprised. According to his guess, with the strength and speed of Sun Shangxiang's troops, they should be able to destroy the eldest princess's troops. But Sun Shangxiang actually said that they didn't catch up with the eldest princess. How could he not be surprised? "Get up and talk. What's going on?" Yi Hao said as he looked at Sun Shangxiang kneeling on the ground. "Reporting to Your Highness, according to the route, I had already led my men to catch up with the eldest princess. But the eldest princess actually led an army and entered the Emperor Demon Forest. However, the Emperor Demon Forest is too dangerous." "What? Entering the Emperor Demon Forest? Isn't she afraid of death?" Even Yi Hao couldn't help but be shocked at this moment. After all, the Emperor Demon Forest was filled with danger. With the strength of the eldest princess's soldiers, they could lose their lives at any time. Yi Hao didn't understand what the eldest princess could do by leading her men into the Emperor Demon Forest. The more he couldn't understand, the more Yi Hao took out a map of the Tianyuan Kingdom. On this map, it naturally didn't just depict the geographical location of the Tianyuan Kingdom. It also depicted some of the surrounding environments. This map naturally included a portion of the Emperor Demon Forest. "Which location did you chase to?" Yi Hao looked at Sun Shangxiang and asked. "It's here." Sun Shangxiang immediately identified the map and pointed to a location on the map. Strange. According to this location, the eldest princess's closest route is actually the Broken Kingdom. Yi Hao looked at the map and couldn't help but frown. After all, basically everyone now knew that the Broken Kingdom had been destroyed by him, and that the Broken Kingdom had already been taken by him. Chapter 991. Therefore, Yihao wasn't willing to believe that the eldest princess would head to the Broken Kingdom. However, the eldest princess's position was indeed the closest to the Broken Kingdom. This made Yihao unsure of what the eldest princess was up to. At the same time, a group of people was walking through the Emperor Demon Forest in a sorry state. However, the number of people in this group wasn't small. In total, there were close to 1 or 2 million people. This group of people was none other than the eldest princess and the left prime minister. How is it? The enemy isn't chasing us, right? The eldest princess asked the left prime minister as she looked around cautiously. Upon hearing the eldest princess's question, the left prime minister couldn't help but smile and say, "Don't worry, Your Majesty. Ever since we entered the Emperor Demon Forest, the enemy didn't dare to chase after us." Phew! The prime minister has great foresight. The eldest princess couldn't help but exhale as she praised the left prime minister. This was because the eldest princess and the left prime minister had already expected that Yihao might send people to chase after them. Therefore, the left prime minister had suggested that they go through the Emperor Demon Forest. In the left prime minister's opinion, the Emperor Demon Forest was also filled with danger. However, compared to being chased by his son Shangxiang, the Emperor Demon Forest was much safer. After all, there was still a glimmer of hope if they entered the Emperor Demon Forest. If they didn't enter the Emperor Demon Forest and were chased by his son Shangxiang, they would die. Therefore, they still chose to enter the Emperor Demon Forest. I reckon that Yihao still thinks that I will go to the Broken Kingdom. The eldest princess couldn't help but sneer. Haha, Your Majesty, don't worry. It will be too late by the time they react. The left prime minister couldn't help but laugh. Tell the soldiers to be careful. The Emperor Demon Forest is filled with danger. Their lives are more important. Once they leave the Emperor Demon Forest, I will definitely reward them generously. The eldest princess was still fearful of the Emperor Demon Forest. At this moment, she couldn't help but remind the left prime minister again. Bastard, I'll make you pay me back 100 times for the pain I've suffered today. When the eldest princess thought of all that she was going through, she couldn't help but think of Yihao, because in her eyes, it was because of Yihao that she had suffered so much. If it wasn't for Yihao, she might have already unified the Tianyuan kingdom. The entire Tianyuan kingdom would already be hers. But now, they were actually forced by Yihao to lead these defeated soldiers and risk their lives to charge into the Emperor Demon Forest. Ever since she was young, other than Yihao, when had she ever suffered such a loss? Hearing the eldest princess's words, the left prime minister's face turned solemn. Your Majesty, don't worry. I've already explained it to them. It had to be said that in this Emperor Devil Forest, the things that could pose a threat to people were not just the powerful magical beasts. There were also some poisonous gases, poisonous herbs, and poisonous insects. Generally speaking, one had to be extremely careful in this Emperor Devil Forest. The slightest bit of carelessness could result in death. Let's continue. The first princess nodded and continued forward. If there were familiar people who knew the way, they would definitely discover that the direction the eldest princess was heading in was not the direction of the Broken Kingdom. At this moment, the second princess's palace was bustling with noise and excitement. Welcome, Your Excellencies. Your presence brings light to my humble abode. Let me propose a toast to all of you. The second princess toasted Hanyun River and the others at this moment. Therefore, Yihao wasn't willing to believe that the first princess would head to the Broken Kingdom. However, the position that the first princess had entered was indeed the closest to the Broken Kingdom. This made Yihao momentarily unable to figure out what exactly the first princess was up to. At the same time, in the Emperor Devil Forest, a group of people was walking in a sorry state. However, the number of people in this group wasn't small. In total, there were close to 1 or 2 million people. This group of people was none other than the first princess, the left prime minister, and the others. How is it? The enemy isn't chasing us, right? The first princess asked the left prime minister as she looked around cautiously. When he heard the first princess's question, the left prime minister couldn't help but smile. Don't worry, Your Majesty. Ever since we entered the Emperor Devil Forest, the enemy didn't dare chase after us. Phew, the Prime Minister has foresight. The first princess couldn't help but exhale a mouthful of turbid air as she praised the left Prime Minister. This was because the first princess and the left Prime Minister had long thought that Yi Hao might send people to chase after them. Therefore, the left Prime Minister had suggested early on that they should go through the Emperor Devil Forest. In the left Prime Minister's opinion, although the Emperor Devil Forest was also filled with danger. However, compared to being chased by Sun Shangxiang, the Emperor Devil Forest was much safer. After all, there was still a glimmer of hope if they entered the Emperor Devil Forest. If they didn't enter the Emperor Devil Forest and were chased by Sun Shangxiang, it would be a dead end. Therefore, when comparing the two, they still chose to enter the Emperor Devil Forest. I reckon that Yi Hao still thinks that I will go to the Broken Kingdom. The first princess couldn't help but open her mouth and sneer. Ha, Your Majesty, don't worry. By the time they react, it will already be too late. The left Prime Minister couldn't help but laugh. Tell the soldiers to be careful. The Emperor Devil Forest is fraught with danger. Their lives are more important. Once they leave the Emperor Devil Forest, I will definitely reward them generously. The first princess was still very afraid of the Emperor Devil Forest. At this moment, she couldn't help but remind the left Prime Minister again. Bastard, in the future, I will definitely repay you 100 times for the suffering I have suffered today. The first princess couldn't help but think of Yi Hao when she thought of all that she had suffered. After all, in her opinion, it was because of Yi Hao that she had suffered so much. If it hadn't been for Yi Hao, perhaps she would have already unified the Tianyuan kingdom and the entire Tianyuan kingdom would have been hers. However, she had actually been forced by Yi Hao to lead these defeated soldiers and risk her life to enter the Emperor Devil Forest. Since she was young, when had she ever suffered such a loss, other than in the hands of Yi Hao? Hearing the first princess's words, the left Prime Minister's face turned solemn. Your Majesty, please don't worry. I have already explained this clearly to them. In the Emperor Devil Forest, powerful demonic beasts weren't the only things that could pose a threat to people. There were also poisonous gases, poisonous herbs, and poisonous insects. In general, one had to be very careful in the Emperor Devil Forest. If one wasn't careful, one would lose one's life. Let's continue moving. The first princess nodded and continued moving forward. If there were familiar people who knew the way, they would definitely realize that the first princess wasn't moving in the direction of the Broken Kingdom. At this moment, the second princess's palace was bustling with noise and excitement. Chapter 992. Clearly, Hongyun River was surprised by Yi Hao's ascension to the throne. Seeing the confused look on Hongyun River's face, the second princess quickly explained, Second uncle, I don't know why my father was bewitched by Yi Hao and decided to abdicate the throne to him. I see. Hongyun River immediately understood what was going on after hearing the second princess's explanation. My Tianyuan kingdom's beautiful land is about to be seized by a thief. Second uncle, please help me. The second princess hurriedly said to Hongyun River. That's right. Second uncle, the Tianyuan kingdom belongs to your niece-in-law. You can't let it fall into the hands of others. Hong Qingyun said indignantly. Don't worry, I'm here to help you all kill those bastards, Hongyun River said upon hearing their words. The second princess was overjoyed when she heard Hongyun River's words. Because of the Hongyun River's words, everything would be much easier to deal with. All right, when will the abdication begin? Hongyun River asked. The day after tomorrow. The second princess quickly replied. Good. We'll let that dog die during the abdication ceremony. Hongyun River said casually. Clearly, from Hongyun River's tone, it was clear that Hongyun River did not place Yi Hao in its eyes at all. After all, he had 10 10th Order Demon Emperors with him. This force was enough to sweep through any country. Not to mention, he was a Second Order Atman Body Realm expert. Thus, how could he possibly put Yi Hao in his eyes? The auspicious time has arrived. The abdication ceremony begins. The Tianyuan Kingdom's imperial city was exceptionally lively today. Countless citizens had appeared on the streets, and the streets were packed with people. Moreover, countless citizens of the Tianyuan Kingdom had rushed over from other cities when they heard about the abdication ceremony. Of course, there were many people from other powers and countries in the crowd. The abdication ceremony and the ascension ceremony would be held in the Tianyuan Kingdom's imperial city's sacrificial plaza. The sacrificial plaza occupied 1/5 of the Tianyuan Kingdom's surface area. It was almost as big as the Tianyuan Kingdom's imperial palace. Normally, the sacrificial plaza would not be open to the public. The sacrificial plaza was specially built for the royal family. The imperial family of Tianyuan would only open the sacrificial plaza if there were no major events, such as the ascension of the throne, the examination of the princes, or the worship of the ancestors. The entire sacrificial plaza could hold millions of people at the same time. At this moment, it was already filled with commoners, and the surroundings were filled with guards, maintaining order with a dignified expression. In the middle of the square, there was an altar made of jade that was nearly 10 meters tall. The entire altar covered an area of nearly 10,000 meters, surrounded by dragon pillars that were dozens of meters tall. The entire altar looked very dignified and ancient, exuding a sacred and inviolable aura. Everyone knew that this altar was the symbol of power in the Tianyuan Kingdom. At this moment, in the arena, a eunuch held an imperial edict in his hand and shouted loudly, "The auspicious hour has arrived. The abdication ceremony begins." As soon as the eunuch finished speaking, the dragon drum began to sound, and the dragon horn began to resound. Everyone was filled with an unparalleled aura, and everyone felt their blood boiling. His Majesty has arrived. At this moment, a dragon carriage was carried to the bottom of the altar by 18 eunuchs. "Fall!" A voice was heard, and the 18 eunuchs carefully placed the dragon carriage on the ground. At this moment, the emperor was wearing a yellow dragon robe with a 5-clawed golden dragon embroidered on the chest. The golden dragon soared into the clouds, and a pair of bright dragon eyes exuded a dignified aura. Emperor Tianyuan walked down from the dragon carriage. With the help of a eunuch, he walked up the stairs and walked towards the altar. "Long live His Majesty! Long live His Majesty! Long live His Majesty!" At the same time, countless people of the Tianyuan Kingdom knelt on the ground and cheered. Some of the martial artists did not need to bow, but they all bowed to show their respect for the emperor. Emperor Tianyuan walked up to the altar and started the sacrificial ceremony with the officials. 3 huge incense sticks were placed in a huge cauldron, emitting faint green smoke. At this moment, everyone was watching attentively, not daring to make a sound. After the sacrificial ceremony, Emperor Tianyuan ordered the eunuch, "Announce it." After receiving Emperor Tianyuan's order, the eunuch nodded and shouted, "Announce the 3rd prince consort, Yi Hao." "Dong, dong, dong wong, wong, wong." Instantly, the dragon drums and dragon horns sounded again. Hearing the eunuch shout, Yi Hao walked out from the crowd. Yi Hao was wearing a white robe today, and he looked very imposing. Countless girls looked at Yi Hao, and their eyes lit up. Yi Hao strode toward the top of the altar. At this moment, everyone was looking at Yi Hao. They wanted to see what kind of person the new emperor of the Tianyuan Kingdom was. Yi Hao looked at Emperor Tianyuan and bowed slightly to show his respect. After all, Emperor Tianyuan was his elder, and he had to show him some respect. Seeing that Yi Hao was showing him respect, Emperor Tianyuan was very pleased. The abdication ceremony of the Tianyuan Kingdom has officially begun. The eunuch shouted again. At this moment, a group of guards walked towards Yi Hao, each holding a tray with something on it. On the tray were the Tianyuan Kingdom's military seal, the imperial seal, and the emperor's dragon robe, dragon boots, and other items. Of course, the imperial seal and the military seal had already been in Yi Hao's hands for a long time. Taking out this time was just more justifiable and in front of everyone. Yi Hao, from now on, you will be the new emperor of the Tianyuan kingdom. The Tianyuan kingdom is officially in your hands. Emperor Tianyuan picked up the imperial seal and smiled at Yi Hao. Don't worry, I will make the Tianyuan kingdom famous in the ancient demon's realm. I will unify the ancient demon's realm. Yi Hao looked at Emperor Tianyuan and said confidently, I hope you can do it. At the very least, I will be able to face my ancestors. Emperor Tianyuan continued to smile when he saw Yi Hao's confident look. Seeing that Emperor Tianyuan and Yi Hao had finished their private conversation, the eunuch continued to shout, the abdication ceremony of the imperial seal has officially begun. The imperial seal of the Tianyuan kingdom was made of golden Xian jade. 9 lifelike dragons were carved on it. Although it was just a carving, it seemed to have boundless power. This was the symbol of power in the Tianyuan kingdom. The words, by the will of heaven, were carved at the bottom. This implied that anyone who could become the emperor was following the will of heaven. Chapter 993. The fate of a nation represented the fortune of a nation. In other words, the stronger the Tianyuan kingdom was, the stronger the fate of the nation contained in the imperial jade seal. The weaker the Tianyuan kingdom was, the thinner the fate of the nation contained in the imperial jade seal. Of course, the fate of a nation contained in the imperial jade seal could also be used as a means of attack. However, most people would not do so. Because the fate of a nation was precious, the more it was consumed, the greater the impact on the nation. Furthermore, it was easy to consume the fate of a nation, but it was extremely difficult to accumulate it. Furthermore, the fate of a nation contained in the imperial jade seal was not something that anyone could use. To use the imperial jade seal, one had to become the new owner of the imperial jade seal. To become the new owner of the imperial jade seal, one had to possess the bloodline recognized by the imperial jade seal. For example, the imperial jade seal of the Tianyuan kingdom had been left behind by the Tianyuan royal ancestor. One had to possess the imperial jade seal and possess the bloodline of the Tianyuan royal ancestor in order to use the imperial jade seal. Therefore, if an outsider took the imperial jade seal, he would only have the imperial jade seal as a symbol of his authority over the Tianyuan kingdom. However, if one wanted to use the imperial jade seal to mobilize the fate of the Tianyuan kingdom, it would be impossible. However, there was a way for an outsider to become the new owner of the imperial jade seal. That was for the owner of the imperial jade seal to sever the bloodline connection in the imperial jade seal. Then, the imperial jade seal would become an ownerless object. Whoever obtained the imperial jade seal would be able to possess the imperial jade seal and become the new owner of the imperial jade seal. Obviously, Emperor Tianyuan wanted to completely hand over the Tianyuan kingdom to Yi Hao. Therefore, he had to sever the bloodline connection in the imperial jade seal. Emperor Tianyuan looked at the imperial jade seal in his hand as if he was looking at an old friend. He stroked the imperial jade seal affectionately. Soon, you'll have a new owner. Sorry for making you suffer in my hands. Emperor Tianyuan said as he looked at the imperial jade seal in his hand. Because the Tianyuan kingdom was declining day by day, the originally strong fate of a nation within the imperial jade seal had become extremely thin. Therefore, even if Emperor Tianyuan disregarded everything and mobilized the fate of the nation to attack, he might not be able to cause much damage. This also proved how weak the Tianyuan kingdom had become. After Emperor Tianyuan finished speaking, he was about to sever the bloodline connection in the imperial jade seal. But at this moment, a loud shout was heard, "Stop!" Hearing this shout, everyone immediately turned to look in the direction of the voice. Who are they? How dare they cause trouble here? Are they tired of living? Looking at this group of people, they don't seem to be friendly. To dare to stand out at such a time, it's clear that you're here to cause trouble. Everyone looked at the second princess's group and couldn't help but discuss. The second princess, Han Qingyun, and the others walked out from the crowd toward the altar. Who are you? Stop. Seeing that the second princess and her entourage dared to step onto the altar, a group of guards immediately blocked their path. You're courting death, Hongyun River said disdainfully. Without waiting for Hong Yue's order, the several 10th Order demon emperors behind him made their move. Bang, bang, bang. In just a few breaths of time, the guards who had surrounded him were all sent flying. It was unknown whether they were dead or alive. Hiss, seeing this scene, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. The reason for that was because they felt that the second princess and the others were simply too daring. They actually dared to cause trouble during the abdication ceremony at such a time. Who are they? I think that woman is the second princess. Didn't the second princess rebel? Why would she appear here? Moreover, the second princess's descendant is so strong. Everyone looked at the second princess and Hong Qingyun and couldn't help but discuss. Everyone's face was filled with shock. Clearly, they were frightened by the 10th Order demon emperors. Yuan, filial son, how dare you return? Emperor Tian Yuan hadn't expected the second princess to appear at such a crucial time. It was one thing to see the second princess appear, but the group of people behind her clearly didn't have good intentions. This was especially so when he saw the Hongyun River's group injuring the guards without any reason. Doing so at such a time was not giving him any face at all. Emperor Tian Yuan couldn't help but be furious as he glared at the second princess. There were many people from other powers and countries in the crowd. When they saw the scene in front of them, they couldn't help but sneer. After all, Emperor Tianyuan's daughter dared to cause trouble during the abdication ceremony. If news of this spread, she would definitely become a laughingstock. This is the altar, and I am also of the Tianyuan imperial family's bloodline. Why can't I be here? Because of the Hongyun River support, the second princess wasn't afraid of Emperor Tianyuan at all. Impudent! How dare you speak to me like that? Emperor Tianyuan was even more furious when he heard the second princess's tone. Father, don't be angry. There is only one thing that I don't understand. The second princess looked at Emperor Tianyuan. What is it? Emperor Tianyuan looked at the second princess with dissatisfaction. I just want to know what's wrong with my father's brain. Why would he pass the throne to an outsider? Or was my father bewitched by this dog? Or is this kid my father's illegitimate son? The second princess sneered as she looked at Emperor Tianyuan. Emperor Tianyuan became angrier and angrier when he heard the second princess's words. His face turned green with anger. A bunch of nonsense, a bunch of nonsense. Cough, cough. Emperor Tianyuan was so angry that he started coughing violently. Father, if you want to stop talking nonsense, then please pass the throne to me. I will definitely make the Tianyuan kingdom prosper. The second princess looked at the imperial jade seal in Emperor Tianyuan's hand with a greedy look in her eyes. If it weren't for the large crowd here, she wouldn't have been able to resist the urge to snatch it. However, she was determined to get the imperial jade seal. After all, only with the imperial jade seal could she become the true emperor. You want the throne? Dream on. Emperor Tianyuan shouted angrily. This is not up to you, father. The second princess smiled coldly. Why? Do you want to kill me? Emperor Tianyuan glared at the second princess. Killing you, father? I can't do that. My reputation will be tarnished. However, this dog must die. The second princess suddenly looked at Yi Hao with a murderous look in her eyes. The second princess couldn't forget that her cultivation had been destroyed by Yi Hao. Therefore, she hated Yi Hao to the core. Even in her dreams, the second princess hoped that one day she would be able to make Yi Hao kneel at her feet and beg for mercy. However, she didn't expect that day to come so soon. Chapter 994. I don't need to do anything for him. Hong Yuha shot a disdainful look at Yi Hao. Kill him. Hong Yuha turned to the person behind him and ordered. Understood. Hearing Hongyun River's words, Zhang Hong clenched his fist and punched at Yi Hao. Zhang Hong's 10th Order Devil Emperor Realm strength was on full display at this moment. His powerful aura enveloped the entire stage. Quick, someone come and protect him. The eunuch panicked when he saw Zhang Hong charging towards him. The hundreds of guards on the stage immediately besieged Zhang Hong. A bunch of ants. You're courting death. Zhang Hong snorted when he saw the hundreds of guards charging towards him. He punched out, and a boundless force surged out. Several guards were sent flying. As for those guards, they directly crashed into a group of guards. Your Majesty, Third Highness, they don't come with good intentions. Please leave this place. The eunuch hurriedly warned Emperor Tianyuan and Yi Hao when he saw how powerful Zhang Hong was. Emperor Tianyuan didn't say anything. Instead, he looked at Yi Hao. Son Shangxiang, what are you waiting for? Yi Hao glared at Zhang Hong and roared. How dare you be so arrogant in front of my lord? Eat my arrow. As soon as Yi Hao finished speaking, Sun Shangxiang's voice rang out. Sun Shangxiang charged out from the crowd. She took out a bow, knocked an arrow, and aimed it at Zhang Hong. Zhang Hong was still killing the guards when he saw Sun Shangxiang appear. He actually sensed the aura of death from Sun Shangxiang's bow. Where did this female general come from? She's so beautiful. Sun Shangxiang attracted countless gazes when she appeared. When the second princess saw Sun Shangxiang, her eyes narrowed and she shouted, Not good. She's Sun Shangxiang. What? She's Sun Shangxiang? Hong Qingyun was stunned when he heard the second princess's words. Killing intent surged from Hong Qingyun's body. After all, his two 10th Order Devil Emperor subordinates were killed by Sun Shangxiang. But when he saw Sun Shangxiang's face, he was stunned. His killing intent dissipated. Obviously, he didn't expect Sun Shangxiang to be so beautiful. If Sun Shangxiang's beauty was compared to the second princess, she would definitely surpass the second princess. This made Hong Qingyun's heart skip a beat. He looked at Sun Shangxiang with greed in his eyes. He had the urge to take Sun Shangxiang for himself. Naturally, the second princess noticed the change in Hong Qingyun's expression. Disappointment and anger flashed across her heart. This was also the reason why the second princess did not want to be with Hong Qingyun in the first place. The second princess knew that she couldn't let this go on. If Hong Qingyun was tempted to take pity on her, there might be trouble. In truth, even though the second princess was very confident in her appearance, she was still jealous when she saw Sun Shangxiang's appearance. The second princess immediately said to Hong Yuha, second uncle, This is the person who killed 2 of Qingyun's subordinates. He's quite strong. Whoosh! At this time, Sun Shangxiang's arrow left the bowstring and shot towards Zhang Hong. Zhang Hong looked at the arrow flying towards him. The power contained in the arrow made him tremble. Especially the arrow, the power it emitted as it tore through the void. The rumbling sound it made indicated that the arrow was not ordinary. Zhang Hong hurriedly gave up on the guard's bow and arrow. He hurriedly used the large saber in his hand to block in front of his body, wanting to use it to block Sun Shangxiang's arrow. Bang! Gotcha! The sound of metal clashing could be heard. In the next second, the sound of metal shattering could be heard. Sun Shangxiang's arrow shattered Zhang Hong's saber. It pierced through Zhang Hong's chest. Zhang Hong's entire person was also sent flying, crashing down below the arena. His eyes were wide open and filled with unwillingness, but he couldn't be more dead. Seeing this scene, all the onlookers sucked in a breath of cold air at the same time. Their eyes were filled with reverence as they looked at Sun Shangxiang. After all, Zhang Hong was a 10th Order Devil Emperor, yet, in front of Sun Shangxiang, he didn't even have the slightest chance to retaliate. This caused many countries and people from other factions to look at Sun Shangxiang with some fear. Obviously, they had not expected that Yi Hao would have such a powerful subordinate like Sun Shangxiang. First Order Atman Body Realm. Hong Yuha looked at Sun Shangxiang and said solemnly. At this moment, Hong Yuha's body was emitting dense, killing intent. Sun Shangxiang actually dared to kill his people in this kind of situation. That was not giving him and the Black Sword sect any face. This was simply letting others see him and the Black Sword sect as a joke. Since you dare to kill my people, you can go to hell. Hong Yuha snorted and was about to attack Sun Shangxiang. spiritual energy burst out from Hong Yue's body, and the aura he emitted was many times stronger than the aura he emitted from martial arts. He's actually a spiritualist. I didn't expect the Tianyuan kingdom to provoke a spiritualist. Looking at their clothes, they seem to be from the Black Sword sect. What Black Sword sect? How dare the Tianyuan kingdom provoke someone from the Black Sword sect? Aren't they courting death? Countless people in the crowd looked at the powerful spiritual energy emitted from Hong Yue's body, and their faces were filled with fear. You're just a second-level Atman body realm cultivator. What's there to be arrogant about? Sun Shangxiang glanced at Hong Yuhe and said casually. Sun Shangxiang's disregard for him made Hong Yuhe explode in anger. He couldn't help but snort coldly. Do you know that the difference of one level in the Atman body realm is like the difference between heaven and earth? Is that so? Then I'd like to know the difference between heaven and earth. Sun Shangxiang still looked at Hong Yuhe nonchalantly. This was because Sun Shangxiang knew that with his strength, although he couldn't directly kill a second-level Atman body realm cultivator, he definitely wouldn't have any problems fighting one. Therefore, even if Hong Yuhe was a second-level Atman body realm cultivator, Sun Shangxiang still didn't fear him. Hearing Sun Shangxiang's words, Hong Yuhe flew into a rage, as if he had been provoked greatly. You're courting death. All of you, go and capture that brat and the emperor. Leave this woman to me. Hong Yuhe said as he took out a long spear and attacked Sun Shangxiang. Hong Yuhe's spear moved like a dragon. The long spear in his hand was like a spear that could take one's life. It made one lose the ability to resist in front of it. The long spear in Hong Yuhe's hand emitted a terrifying amount of spiritual energy, bringing with it a boundless might. So strong. That was the thought that came to everyone's mind when they saw Hongyuan River's attack. Chapter 995. The flexible sword in Sun Shangxiang's hand coiled around Hongyuan River's spear like a coiling snake. Both of their spiritual energies intertwined with each other, creating a huge shockwave in the air. Looking at the battle between the two of them, all the onlookers watched attentively. After all, this was a battle between spiritualists, and it was rare to see it on normal days. However, everyone could see that Hongyuan River and Sun Shangxiang were evenly matched. Seeing the battle between Hongyuan River and Sun Shangxiang, the 10th Order Demon Emperors didn't stay idle. They immediately made their move against Yi Hao and Emperor Tianyuan. Let's see how you escape this time. The second princess gloated when she saw several 10th Order Demon Emperors attacking Yi Hao. As far as she was concerned, Yi Hao was doomed this time. After all, Sun Shangxiang was busy with the battle at Hongyuan River. She did not believe that with Yi Hao's strength, he could still battle a fiend emperor powerhouse. Imperial Father, now you know that it was a mistake to let him become the emperor. I am the most suitable person to be the emperor. The second princess looked at Emperor Tianyuan and said, Unfilial daughter. Emperor Tianyuan's anger flared when he heard the second princess's words, and he roared furiously. Ha ha ha! The second princess laughed when she saw Emperor Tianyuan's angry expression. Imperial Father, don't be angry. You have to live well. Your son still wants you to be the Emperor Emeritus. Do you think you have me in your hands? Yi Hao asked when he saw the second princess's smug expression. Hee, don't tell me you can kill so many 10th Order Demon Emperors. Hearing Yi Hao's words, the second princess couldn't help but look at Yi Hao with ridicule. Then, the second princess looked at the 10th Order Devil Emperor Realm experts and said, Lords, what are you waiting for? Quickly kill this dog. Dog, go to hell. Hearing the second princess's words, one of the 10th Order Demon Emperors wanted to kill Yi Hao. Who dares to hurt my lord? Take this arrow from me, Huang Zhong. At this moment, Huang Zhong suddenly charged out from the crowd. As soon as Huang Zhong's voice fell, an arrow pierced through the air and shot toward the 10th Order Demon Emperor who wanted to kill Yi Hao. Seeing this arrow that had suddenly appeared, the crowd discovered that this arrow was not at all inferior to the arrow that Sun Shangxiang had shot earlier. Everyone immediately looked at Huang Zhong. Tianyuan Kingdom still has experts. Everyone looked at Huang Zhong and thought to themselves in shock. This was because they realized that Huang Zhong's aura was not weaker than Sun Shangxiang's at all. This also meant that Huang Zhong was also a spiritualist. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Huang Zhong stood in the same place and continuously shot dozens of arrows towards the 10th Order Demon Emperors. With Zhang Hong's death, no one dared to underestimate Huang Zhong's arrows. Therefore, these 10th Order Demon Emperors no longer had the appearance of an expert at this moment. None of them dared to block the arrows and fled in all directions. Seeing this, the 10th Order Demon Emperors who had been aggressive at the beginning were now covering their heads and fleeing like rats. The crowd below the altar was completely stunned. Marshals, what are you waiting for? Huang Zhong looked at the demon emperors who were covering their heads and fleeing like rats and couldn't help but shout. Hearing Huang Zhong's words, everyone below the altar was stunned. Marshals? Could it be that there are still experts? The Tianyuan Kingdom could take out Sun Shangxiang and Huang Zhong. These two experts were enough to shock many people. Therefore, at this moment, when they heard Huang Zhong's words that there might be more experts, they suddenly became excited. Everyone looked around curiously. I'm Guan Yinchang. You thieves dare to injure my lord. You will die under my green dragon crescent blade. Guan Yu held the green dragon crescent blade in his hand and leaped into the air, landing directly on the battle stage. Guan Yu's first Order Atman body realm aura was unmistakable. The green dragon crescent blade in his hand swept out horizontally, accompanied by the roar of a dragon. Kacha! Guan Yu directly aimed at a 10th Order Demon Emperor and raised the blade in his hand. The 10th Order Demon Emperor didn't even have the strength to retaliate and was cut in half at the waist. This is so strong. Looking at Guan Yu's fierce entrance, killing a 10th Order Demon Emperor in the first instant, everyone couldn't help but look at Guan Yu in shock. After all, that was a 10th Order Demon Emperor. Many people in the crowd regarded him as a godlike existence, but in front of Guan Yu, he was killed in a second. Whoever dares to act rashly in front of my lord will have to go through me. Ran Min. At the same time, Heavenly King Ran Min also jumped out. This person looks so fierce. Without looking at Ran Min's momentum, just looking at Ran Min's appearance, many people were already afraid. Ran Min's entrance was not weaker than Guan Yu's. Similarly, he attacked a 10th Order Demon Emperor. What do you want to do? That 10th Order Demon Emperor looked at the fierce Ran Min and retreated in fear. Die! Ran Min roared, and without even using a weapon, he directly crushed the 10th Order Demon Emperor's head. That's way too powerful. Everyone looked at this scene in shock. One had to know that this was not an ordinary person, nor was it a cat or a dog, but a dignified 10th Order Demon Emperor. That was an existence that countless people could only dream of. At this moment, his head was crushed by Ran Min. Of course, this didn't mean that the 10th Order Demon Emperor's strength was too weak. It could only be said that Ran Min was too strong. I am Zhao Zilong under my lord. You are courting death. At this moment, Zhao Yun, who was wearing a silver robe, jumped onto the stage with a long spear in his hand. Just like Guan Yu and Ran Min, Zhao Yun's silver spear flew out and pierced through a person's head. Silence. Other than the battle between the Hongyun River and Sun Shangxiang, the entire place was dead silent. The three of them domineeringly appeared and killed 3 10th Order Demon Emperors. In many people's eyes, Ran Min, Guan Yu, and Zhao Yun's strength was simply too terrifying. How is this possible? How can there be so many experts? Where did they come from? At this moment, 3 10th Order Demon Emperors were killed. On the stage, there were only 6 10th Order Demon Emperors left. Even the arrogance on the second princess's face disappeared and was replaced by a trace of panic. The second princess did not understand where Guan Yu, Ran Min, and Zhao Yun had come from. One had to know that before this, she only knew that Yihao only had Huang Zhong and Sun Shangxiang. She had always thought that Sun Shangxiang and Huang Zhong were merely 10th Order Demon Emperors. However, looking at Sun Shangxiang, who was able to fight evenly with the Hongyun River, she knew that he was no longer a 10th Order Demon Emperor. The most unacceptable thing to the second princess was that Huang Zhong, Guan Yu, Ran Min, and Zhao Yun's aura was no weaker than Sun Shangxiang's. Chapter 996. There was no need for the second princess to say anything. Hong Qingyun knew that something was amiss. "Please forgive us for coming too late, my lord." Guan Yu and the others immediately bowed to Yi Hao. "I forgive you for your sins. Clean up this trash for me." Yi Hao looked at the remaining 6 demon emperors. Everyone sucked in a cold breath when they heard Yi Hao's words. One had to know that those were 10th Order demon emperors. How could they be trash in Yi Hao's eyes? "Yes, your majesty." Upon receiving Yi Hao's order, Guan Yu and the others immediately attacked the 6 demon emperors. "Run!" The 6 demon emperors knew that Guan Yu and the others weren't easy to deal with. "You want to run? Do you think you can escape? Trying to escape in front of me? What a joke. You won't be able to escape. Eat my spear." Guan Yu, Ran Min, and Zhao Yun shouted as they blocked the path of the demon emperors. How is this possible? Where did so many spiritual cultivators come from? Hong Yuha had been confident that he could deal with Sun Shangxiang, but when he saw so many experts appear, he started to panic. This was especially so when he saw that there were only 6 demon emperors left. Moreover, all of them were running away. His expression turned ugly. "Dog, your majesty, I am the second disciple of the Black Sword sect's 5th elder. I think there must be a misunderstanding. Why don't we stop fighting for the time being?" Hong Yuha knew that if this continued, he would be at a disadvantage. He believed that if he mentioned the Black Sword sect, Emperor Tianyuan would stop fighting. When he returned to the Black Sword sect, he would bring back reinforcements and destroy the Tianyuan kingdom. Emperor Tianyuan didn't say anything. Instead, he looked at Yi Hao. His meaning was obvious. This matter was decided by Yi Hao. When Hong Yuha saw the look in Emperor Tianyuan's eyes, a trace of dissatisfaction flashed through his heart. However, in order to get through this crisis, he had no choice but to compromise. He looked at Yi Hao and said, "Third Prince Consort, I think there must be a misunderstanding. Why don't we just let it go?" "Ha!" Upon hearing Hong Yun River's words, Yi Hao laughed mercilessly as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. Yi Hao looked at Hong Yun River as though he was looking at an idiot. "Is there something wrong with your head? You're the one who brought people here to cause trouble for me. Now that you can't beat me, you're telling me to forget about it? Do you think I'm a pushover?" Hearing Yi Hao's words, countless people looked at Hong Yun River strangely, as if they were looking at an idiot. After all, everyone present had witnessed Hong Yun River's arrogance earlier. As soon as he arrived, Hong Yu immediately killed the guards of the Tianyuan kingdom, forced his way onto the altar, destroyed the hall, and even tried to capture Yi Hao and Emperor Tianyuan. If it weren't for Yi Hao's subordinates, Yi Hao and Emperor Tianyuan would probably be dead by now. However, Hong Yun River wanted to end the battle by saying that it was a misunderstanding when he realized that he couldn't beat Yi Hao. Clearly, he was treating Yi Hao like a 3-year-old. Hong Yun River clearly didn't expect Yi Hao to be so difficult to deal with. Yi Hao even dared to call him crazy. If it weren't for Sun Shangxiang holding him back, he would have slapped Yi Hao to death. After all, with his status, no one dared to not give him face, let alone scold him. However, no matter how angry he was, he couldn't vent it. After all, Yi Hao had so many powerful subordinates. He had the upper hand and was the boss. Hong Yun River had no choice but to lower his attitude and say, "How about I compensate you? That should be fine, right?" "I don't care," Yi Hao said directly, his face unyielding. Hong Yun River felt like he was about to explode from anger. Who was he? He was the disciple of the Black Sword sect's 5th elder, Hong Wujian. Normally, even the emperor of a country stronger than the Tianyuan kingdom would have to treat him with respect. However, Yi Hao still ignored him. Yi Hao hadn't fully ascended the throne yet. He was still the emperor's son-in-law. Hong Yun River had already lowered his attitude to Yi Hao, yet Yi Hao still dared to speak to him in such a manner. "You dog, don't be so ungrateful." The Black Sword sect isn't something that the small Tianyuan kingdom can afford to offend. Hongyun River couldn't be bothered to argue with Yi Hao. He directly used the Black Sword sect to threaten Yi Hao. Huang Zhong, help Sun Shangxiang and kill him. Yi Hao ignored Hongyun River's threat and immediately ordered Huang Zhong. Yes, your majesty. Huang Zhong received Yi Hao's order and immediately went to Sun Shangxiang's side. He wanted to join forces with Sun Shangxiang to deal with Hongyun River. You dog, you really don't know what's good for you. Hongyun River didn't expect Yi Hao to be so stubborn. Not only did Yi Hao refuse to give up on attacking him, he even wanted Huang Zhong to join forces with Sun Shangxiang to attack him. Although he was a level 2 Atman body realm cultivator, he was only evenly matched with Sun Shangxiang. Now, Yi Hao wanted him to fight Huang Zhong and Sun Shangxiang. How could he possibly be a match for them? Fighting Huang Zhong and Sun Shangxiang, Hongyun River suddenly felt a little strenuous. Now, even if Hongyun River wanted to argue with Yi Hao, they couldn't. The two of you are strong. Why do you want to follow that dog? Why don't I recommend the two of you to the Black Sword sect? It will give you a better platform. Hongyun River and Sun Shangxiang and Huang Zhong fought for a while and gradually fell into a disadvantageous position. Hongyun River was anxious, but he was angered by Yi Hao. He knew that it would be useless to look for Yi Hao. Therefore, Hongyun River was forced into a corner by Yi Hao and turned his attention to Sun Shangxiang and Huang Zhong. In his opinion, it would be fine as long as Sun Shangxiang and Huang Zhong didn't make a move. You're courting death. Huang Zhong snorted coldly when he heard Hongyun River's words. His attacks on Hongyun River became even fiercer. Sun Shangxiang didn't say anything, but his attacks also became fiercer. Hongyun River was miserable when he saw the two's attacks. After all, the two's attacks were well coordinated and didn't give him a chance to catch his breath. If this continued, Hongyun River had no doubt that he would lose his life on the spot. However, he was a level 2 Atman body realm cultivator. Moreover, he had a powerful backer like Hong Wu Dao. How could he be willing to die? At the same time, the 6 demon emperors weren't in a good situation either. The 6th Order demon emperors couldn't fight back against Guan Yu's group of 3. They could die at any time. As for Hong Qingyun and the second princess, they were also in a bad situation. Chapter 997. There was no need for the second princess to say anything. Hong Qingyun knew that something was amiss. Please forgive us for coming too late, my lord. Guan Yu and the others immediately bowed to Yi Hao. I forgive you for your sins. Clean up this trash for me. Yi Hao looked at the remaining 6 demon emperors. Everyone sucked in a cold breath when they heard Yi Hao's words. One had to know that those were 10th Order demon emperors. How could they be trash in Yi Hao's eyes? Yes, your majesty. Upon receiving Yi Hao's order, Guan Yu and the others immediately attacked the 6 demon emperors. Run! The 6 demon emperors knew that Guan Yu and the others weren't easy to deal with. You want to run? Do you think you can escape? Trying to escape in front of me? What a joke. You won't be able to escape. Eat my spear. Guan Yu, Ran Min, and Zhao Yun shouted as they blocked the path of the demon emperors. How is this possible? Where did so many spiritual cultivators come from? Hong Yuha had been confident that he could deal with Sun Shangxiang, but when he saw so many experts appear, he started to panic. This was especially so when he saw that there were only 6 demon emperors left. Moreover, they were all running away. His expression turned ugly. Dog, your majesty, I am the second disciple of the Black Sword sect's 5th elder. I think there must be a misunderstanding. Why don't we stop fighting for the time being? Hong Yuha knew that if this continued, he would be at a disadvantage. He believed that if he mentioned the Black Sword sect, Emperor Tianyuan would stop fighting. When he returned to the Black Sword sect, he would bring back reinforcements and destroy the Tianyuan kingdom. Emperor Tianyuan didn't say anything. Instead, he looked at Yi Hao. His meaning was obvious. This matter was decided by Yi Hao. When Hong Yuha saw the look in Emperor Tianyuan's eyes, A trace of dissatisfaction flashed through his heart. However, in order to get through this crisis, he had no choice but to compromise. He looked at Yi Hao and said, "Third Prince Consort, I think there must be a misunderstanding. Why don't we let it go?" Haha. Upon hearing Hongyun River's words, Yi Hao laughed mercilessly as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. Yi Hao looked at Hongyun River as if he were looking at an idiot. "Is there something wrong with your head? You're the one who brought people here to cause trouble for me. Now that you can't beat me, you're telling me to forget about it? Do you think I'm a pushover?" Hearing Yi Hao's words, countless people looked at Hongyun River strangely, as if they were looking at an idiot. After all, everyone present had witnessed Hongyun River's arrogance earlier. As soon as he arrived, Hongyu immediately killed the guards of the Tianyuan kingdom, forced his way onto the altar, destroyed the hall, and even tried to capture Yi Hao and Emperor Tianyuan. If it weren't for Yi Hao's subordinates, Yi Hao and Emperor Tianyuan would probably be dead by now. However, Hongyun River wanted to end the battle by saying that it was a misunderstanding when he realized that he couldn't beat Yi Hao. Clearly, he was treating Yi Hao like a 3-year-old. What a fool. Hongyun River clearly didn't expect Yi Hao to be so difficult to deal with. Yi Hao even dared to call him crazy. If it weren't for Sun Shangxiang holding him back, he would have slapped Yi Hao to death. After all, with his status, no one dared to disrespect him, let alone scold him. However, no matter how angry he was, he couldn't vent it. After all, Yi Hao had so many powerful subordinates. He had the upper hand and was the boss. Hongyun River had no choice but to lower his attitude and say, "How about I compensate you? That should be fine, right?" "I don't care," Yi Hao said directly, his expression unyielding. Hongyun River felt like he was about to explode from anger. Who was he? He was the disciple of the Black Sword sect's 5th elder, Hong Wujian. Normally, even the emperor of a country stronger than the Tianyuan kingdom would have to treat him with respect. However, Yi Hao still ignored him. Yi Hao hadn't fully ascended the throne yet. He was still the emperor's son-in-law. Hongyun River had already lowered his attitude to Yi Hao, yet Yi Hao still dared to speak to him in such a manner. "You dog, don't be so ungrateful. The Black Sword sect isn't something a small Tianyuan kingdom can afford to offend." Hongyun River couldn't be bothered to argue with Yi Hao. He directly threatened Yi Hao with the Black Sword sect's name. "Huangzhong, help Sun Shangxiang and kill him." Yi Hao ignored Hongyun River's threat and directly ordered Huangzhong. "Yes, your majesty." Huangzhong received Yi Hao's order and immediately went to Sun Shangxiang's side. He wanted to join forces with Sun Shangxiang to deal with Hongyun River. "You dog, you really don't know what's good for you." Hongyun River didn't expect Yi Hao to be so stubborn. Not only did Yi Hao refuse to give up on attacking him, he even wanted Huangzhong to join forces with Sun Shangxiang to attack him. One had to know that although he was at Atman body 2nd level, he was only evenly matched with Sun Shangxiang. Now, Yi Hao wanted him to fight Huangzhong and Sun Shangxiang. How could he possibly be a match for them? Fighting Huangzhong and Sun Shangxiang, Hongyun River suddenly felt a little strenuous. Now, even if Hongyun River wanted to argue with Yi Hao, they couldn't. "The two of you are strong. Why do you want to follow that dog? Why don't I recommend the two of you to the Black Sword sect? You'll get a better platform." Hongyun River and Sun Shangxiang and Huangzhong fought for a while and gradually fell into a disadvantage. Hongyun River was anxious, but he was angered by Yi Hao. He knew that it would be useless to look for Yi Hao. Therefore, Hongyun River had no choice but to turn to Sun Shangxiang and Huangzhong for help from Yi Hao. In his opinion, it would be fine as long as Sun Shangxiang and Huangzhong didn't make a move. You're courting death." Huangzhong snorted coldly when he heard Hongyun River's words. His attacks on Hongyun River became even fiercer. Sun Shangxiang didn't say anything, but his attacks also became more ferocious. Hongyun River was miserable when he saw the two's attacks. After all, the two's attacks were well coordinated and didn't give him a chance to catch his breath. If this continued, Hongyun River had no doubt that he would lose his life on the spot. However, he was a second-level Atman body realm cultivator. Moreover, he had Hong Wudao as his backing. How could he be willing to die? At the same time, the 6 demon emperors weren't in a good situation either. The 6 10th Order demon emperors couldn't fight back against Guan Yu and the other 2. They could die at any time. As for Hong Qingyun and the second princess, they weren't in a good situation either. This was because there were already many soldiers guarding the area below the altar. Even if the 2 of them wanted to escape, it would be hard for them to do so. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.